6:30 p.m. Call to order the July 17th edition of the Jericho Selectboard meeting. In order to make our meetings more efficient, we are limiting public comment to the beginning of the meeting, the public to be heard section. Selectboard meetings are in the public, not of the public. There will occasionally be agenda items where we'll ask for public comment on that specific item, but not for today. Please do not use the chat on Zoom for anything other than technical issues. And with that, public to be heard. Is there any public to be heard? I just let one more person in, so I'll ask one more time. Is there any public to be heard? And this is for anything on the agenda. None of the agenda items have.
Nothing on the agenda,
Anything not on the agenda.
No, anything on the agenda, anything for tonight.
As well as
there's no agenda items that we're gonna be doing public comment.
Gotcha.
This is your option to speak for
So it's everything.
everything
I do not see anybody.
on or off the agenda. Okay, great. All right, next thing is an overview of the Municipal Road Grants Program and what Jericho must do to keep it updated.
It's very cool.
Chad McGann.
Yeah.
You on, Chad? Looks like you
Yeah,
are.
he is. Yeah, cool stuff.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hi. Hi.
So I'm Chad McGann. I'm with the DC Municipal Roads Program, which is tied to the Municipal Roads General Permit. I have a presentation for you. Is that kind of how we wanted to go about doing this? I just go ahead and kind of give my whole spiel.
That
Yes.
works for me. Yep. And then we'll have questions, or I guess we could probably ask questions along the way, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Quick, sorry, question. What's the DC? You said I'm with the DC?
DEC, Department of Environmental Conservation, State of Vermont.
Thank you.
The Municipal Roads General Permit, it's MRGP is what most people refer to it as. I'm the MRGP coordinator, and it is a permit within the stormwater program of the DEC. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of start giving my whole presentation. If at any time you have a question or anything, you can always interject.
Were you going to share your screen, or you were looking for Paula to do it?
Yeah, I got it. You set.
Okay.
I got it. All right. Can we see that?
Yeah.
All right. So this is kind of taken from my MRGP Roundtable series. I've been doing these all across the state of Vermont in every single region. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and kind of start off. This is the MRGP. It's a stormwater permit. It covers most of the state, most towns other than the unincorporated communities and the MS4 communities like Burlington, Colchester. Those towns are part of the MS4 permit. They have a phosphorus control plan. They have different sets of requirements compared to MRGP. Really, what MRGP is primarily focused on is roads. MRGP comes from Act 64, which is Vermont's Clean Water Act. The MRGP was first issued in 2018, and it is primarily geared at dealing with roads and road runoff. It is the end result of the permit is geared at improving water quality. This comes from the Lake Champlain TMDL. That stands for total maximum daily load. The idea there being that there's too much phosphorus going into Lake Champlain. And so this kind of contributes to the algae blooms that we have in the lake during the summer that prevents people from swimming. And roads, road runoff, erosion associated with, stormwater, road washouts, that kind of thing, sediment, that all contributes to that maximum daily load. And so, this is kind of a breakdown. This was an analysis done in 2013. But roads across the state, they make up a sizable portion of that phosphorus load going into the lake, but there are other contributors to that, agricultural being one of the bigger ones. But roads, like I said, this is just one part of that whole process. There's like the 3-acre rule is kind of part of this. We have our CAFO program. They're all kind of geared towards addressing this one thing. So we are in the second cycle of the permit program. Basically, there's a couple different things when we think about compliance. Really what I am is I am the compliance officer for the permit. And so there is an implementation requirement to upgrade roads. There is a road erosion inventory, which is taking place across the state. And now we are doing a reassessment for that. And then there are annual fees and annual reports that are associated with the permit program. But basically, the MRGP basics are compliance, standards, and then I have the website. I don't know that we need to get into the nitty-gritty details of the website, but I can kind of just review a little bit of the standards and what compliance really looks like for the town of Jericho. And so we have standards. Generally, what the program is trying to get at is that there are many roads across the state of Vermont that cut right through hillsides, through, across mountains, and essentially when it rains, there's not a lot of opportunity for that water to discharge elsewhere. And so that will typically contribute to erosion. And so what we're trying to get at is that there's 4 standards. We want to have an adequate crown. We want to remove the greater berm on the sides of the road. We want to have adequate drainage. That can be a drainage ditch that is vegetated or stone lined, but it's satisfactory if there's rain hitting the road and it's going off onto a vegetated filter area. Really, it's erosion as an indicator of a drainage issue. That's kind of what I say all the time. And that's really what we're trying to prevent. We're trying to prevent erosion. We're trying to make it so that the integrity of the road is sound. And a big way in which that kind of comes into play is through turnouts and more so culverts. And so there's generally divide, but the idea here, this is what this is trying to illustrate, is that the steeper the road, the greater the requirements. And so if you have a road that is greater than 5% slope, you want to start using stone in your ditches to help slow down the velocity of the water traveling in the ditches and get it to where it needs to go. This is kind of illustrating that. And so generally we want to try and avoid discharging directly to water of the state. But if that is not possible, then we employ filter areas and check dams and rock aprons and those kinds of things. But the general idea of the whole thing is that the steeper the road, the more the more gradient it has and the longer the road, the more of a maintenance, there will be involved with it. And, there's just going to need to be, annual checking in to make sure that culverts are unplugged, that they're not crushed, that, the ditches, the integrity of the ditches is maintaining the way that they should. And so that's kind of what it comes down to is, we have different classifications of roads. There's closed drainage, there's open drainage, but the main priority is these open drainage roads. And there are various culverts that are associated with MRGP. You have your bigger structures, your perennial stream culverts. That is with the DEC Rivers program. That's the stream alteration permit. But there are three kinds of culverts that are covered under MRGP. There's driveway culverts, there are cross culverts, and then there are intermittent stream culverts. These are streams that are not running year round, but they will still discharge a lot of water during a storm event. And so they're some of the most important structures across the state. And so the standard for that is active channel width. That's definitely something to keep in mind. That is where there's not vegetation growing in the channel of that intermittent stream. That is kind of the size of the structure that we want. And I find that, if I was going to walk away from this, other than the, requirements in terms of compliance, which I'll get to in a second, but if I was going to walk away from this, I would say that these structures, the intermittent stream crossings, are some of the more important elements of our road drainage networks because they can exist at the top of a road. And if water is not able to get through that culvert, say that the culvert gets displaced, or say that there's too much water due to a storm event and it's overtopping over the culvert, the only place for that water to go is down the road. And so that will cause some substantial erosion, sometimes washing out the road and honestly being a hazard. So intermittent streams, and I'm happy to talk about that more. But this standards tips, this is kind of more for the road foreman. But if you have a 15-inch drainage pipe, we try and go towards 18 inches. But if it's 15 and there's no erosion associated with it, that's okay. It doesn't really call for a replacement. Class 4 roads, in addition to Class 2 and Class 3 roads, Class 4 roads are also associated with this program. I know there's probably less in Jericho, but really we're just trying to stabilize gully erosion in that instance. There are some standards feasibility exemptions here. And that is, sorry, it's raining really hard at my house. It might be raining hard there too. But there are some standards feasibility exemptions, basically public safety stuff, stone walls, where road segments can be considered exempt from the permit program. We also have catch basin outlet standard. This is meant to you want to stabilize these with stone, typically to prevent erosion, kind of something like that. So I'm going to talk about compliance, and then I'm going to break away into reviewing the data elements of this in terms of what you might think about as Jericho relates to this. So we have annual fees and annual reports. That's considered administrative compliance. That's every year. I'm pretty sure Jericho is up to date on those. The annual fees, they typically go into the Clean Water Fund, which then makes its way back into the Grants and Aid and Better Roads programs, and which can be used to upgrade your roads. We have the road erosion inventory reassessment. I know for a fact that Jericho, I think, just got that done. So you have you'll have your new updated inventory. I'm going to go over that in a second. And then we have the implementation requirement. As far, I looked at it before this meeting, and Jericho you're up to date with that. So I wouldn't stress about that too much. I definitely still think that, you should be looking at the grants. And I'll explain that in a second, but you should be checking out the grants and making sure that, okay, if I have non-compliant segments, this is where I can, deploy that funding. The biggest thing.
Question,
Go
quick
ahead.
question. You said that Jericho, you said, I think something to the effect of you're pretty much up to date with that. When you say we're up to date with that, do you mean that we have few or no roads that are not compliant? Or was that referring to something else?
So, basically, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the MRGP website. You can find the permit here, which talks a lot about the standards, and a lot of what it is that I'm talking about. You can see this, I have a story map I threw together, all this stuff. Basically, this widget right here, that will bring you to the reporter map. And basically, like I said, this is going to be all across the state. You're gonna want to find where Jericho is, and then you will zoom in, and then hopefully this loads. But essentially, what this is going to show is it's going to show all of your road segments that are considered jurisdictional to the permit. So what does that mean? Basically, what that means is that any road segment, a road segment is going to be 328 feet or 100 meters. That is going to be considered hydrologically connected, meaning it's within 100 feet of mapped water of the state. And so basically what we're looking at here is we're looking at all of your hydrologically connected road segments. Most of them are green, which is a good thing. Those segments that are in orange and purple are considered partially meeting standard. Orange is partially meeting, purple does not meet. And so essentially what we have is every town has an annual implementation requirement. So if you go here to view data and progress on the website, I just did that. And then you find Town of Jericho, and then it'll bring you to this page. This, it's a little convoluted, but basically what you're going to see is that we have a baseline inventory that was completed at the end of 2023, or like by 2023. Jericho had that completed, and now you just had your second round of an inventory done. It's a road erosion inventory. Basically what that looks like is each of these segments are geographically located. You can go in here and you can update the segment. Basically what that's going to do is it's going to ask you questions about, crown, berm, drainage, and turnouts, and then culverts being the last question. But basically what happened was for your very first run through of all of this, of your 978 hydrologically connected road segments, you had 175 that were non-compliant for the first cycle. Now, sorry, you actually had 492 of your 978. So now that you have had your road erosion inventory reassessment done, and I'm able to see that through these points are the result of each survey being done. So this gets returned to me, and I can see this. And so I can see that for the most part, other than, some of these green segments and, maybe this purple one over here, most of your segments have been reassessed for the second cycle. And because, we found that after we did this for the first cycle, that there were many non-compliant segments across the state, and we fine-tuned it to account more for drainage and less for the road surface conditions of a gravel road. So like say that, you haven't had the opportunity, the road foreman hasn't had the opportunity to regrade the road yet. And a road erosion inventory comes through, gets done, and a lot of those segments come back as being non-compliant. Now the survey kind of accounts for that. And that is what we're seeing. So in your first cycle, you had 175 segments that were non-compliant. Now you have 69 segments that are listed as non-compliant. Those segments, that 69 number is included, these orange ones and these purple ones. And so essentially what we're trying to do then is to work to upgrade those and bring them into MRGP compliance. Right now, at the bottom of the page of this page, you can kind of see here these number non-compliant segments needed to meet the 15% target, and then it gets down to 7.5% each year. Right now, because you had your road erosion inventory reassessment done, it kind of accounts for that, and so you are considered to be compliant as far as the numbers go with the permit program. I will say, there is flexibility with this number because there are some towns where the inverse has been true, where they have more non-compliant segments after their road erosion inventory reassessment has been done. That's just due to some of the storm events that we've been having across the state. But as far as your town goes, you are considered to be in compliant with the permit, the implementation requirement. Now, in order to keep up with that, what we have here is, what I did was, okay, I went through and I clicked on a segment, and I want to update the road segment status. So what you would do is it would bring you to this page, and you can go here, say your name, you can say your organization. What you would do to upgrade a segment is you have this reassessment option here. What you would do is you would go to work completed, and then you would specify which of the funding programs that you got the funds to upgrade your MRGP segment. It could just be town funding, which is fine, and I encourage that if the road foreman is going to, if the road foreman can be the one managing this, or the select board. It doesn't really matter. I definitely encourage, it takes a village. I definitely encourage the select board to participate in this because, this can be a good idea in terms of knowing where your problem areas are in town, especially if there's a big storm event. But you basically go through here and you answer these questions. It'll give you the slope. The slope has a big factor in terms of what the score is on the reassessment, but then you'll go through here and you'll essentially answer these questions. You're only getting the road drainage and turnout/conveyance area question here rather than crown and berm, because this is a paved road. So therefore those factors, they're not really essential, but that's kind of how it works. So, what I would say is that, your road erosion inventory reassessment has come back. There are still some of these are outlets. These still need to be assessed just to see whether or not there's erosion at the outlet of the structure. But for the most part, Jericho is you've progress done on your road erosion inventory reassessment. There's definitely still some more that could be assessed. I know that is it CCRPC has been working to do that. But what I would say in terms of getting a benefit out of the program is to engage with the funding programs. And so, sorry, does anybody have a question?
No.
Okay, so basically, you have these stretches of road here and here. It's clear to me just by looking at that those are probably like your steeper sections of road in town. What you can always do if you have it where, say that you have like a water, this looks to be like a stream here. There might be a stream at the bottom of this hill. If you have it where you have a stretch of road that is draining downslope, I should say, towards a stream at the base, you can add these because they are considered hydrologically connected. The way that we did this at the onset was we just did a proximity analysis through GIS to not add so many segments that it would be untenable for towns to comply with this. But what you can do is you can add these road segments into MRGP in order to get funding for their improvement if they are actually draining to water of the state. So, the best way to go about doing this is to just keep up to date on both of the funding programs. So there is the Grants and Aid program. Basically the way that Grants and Aid works is it's a little bit more flexible. You basically get the funds, you can apply them, and then you have to submit to them where you utilize those funds to upgrade your MRGP segments. So it's kind of like it's not a video game, but it's kind of like a video game. You're taking the segment, you're upgrading it using the funds. And so this is a little bit more flexible. I did see that Jericho went ahead and got the funds for Grants and Aid, which is great. Awesome. For Better Roads they are very similar. And there's different categories for Better Roads funding. But essentially the one that we would be interested in for Jericho is category B, the Better Roads category B funding. And basically the way that works is you want to have it selected ahead of time. You want to know that, hey, this is non-compliant. I have a project plan. This is what we want to do to bring this into compliance with the permit program. And then you execute it, and then they'll reimburse you with the funds. I think it's upwards of $20,000 for projects. And so, yeah, that's there's a lot more to the program, but that's kind of like the meat and potatoes of it. So, does anybody have any questions? None?
I have one comment, and I understand that these guidelines help inform the state of what the overall road guidelines are. But we had a situation where in Jericho, we did a huge amount of work and updated one of our troublesome segments. And with that upgrade came, those ditches with that, with the depth required and the depth and the width at the top and the stone.
Real steep slope.
It was a steep slope. Those really change things a lot. And so, when we think about people walk, especially on dirt roads, right? Like half people in Jericho probably live on dirt roads. They love walking on them. And what we found is we built it exactly to the state standard. We got accolades from the, state inspector that comes out and looks at it.
Agency
And
District 5.
And it met everything to the book, to the letter. And it was really unfortunate for the people that live in the road. They just felt unsafe because we were wider than the spec. We had the depth, but meeting those requirements makes the road look and feel to pedestrians to be unsafe. And so I guess maybe I don't know if it's a question or more of a comment, but do you get that a lot?
Yeah.
Because Because
Yes.
all of a sudden a road that had like a nice little, maybe a little soft section, and if you were to like drive off, maybe you get a little stuck if it's wet. But if you're walking, you can like walk over there for cars coming by, and then all of a sudden that becomes an 8-foot stone lined cliff.
Yeah. Yeah. And I get that. But you know, it's really geared towards addressing the erosion related issues. And so they're largely preventative in nature. If the road is not washing out, then that ditch is doing its job.
Yeah, I guess what I'm wondering is, I wonder if there should be an update with the state for like, okay, yeah, maybe if I'm gonna make up the numbers, but like if 18 foot is the recommended minimum width, right? Like, it would be nice if that was, if that
Well,
took into account, and I understand, you're not talking about the state, you're talking about what the ditches are, but the result is those ditches become very impactful to walkers if you're meeting the minimum road width for all the other state regulations that go into doing that work.
yeah, and I will say that I will say that, you know, typically work is very much limited to the right of way. So we can't go outside of the right of way for a lot of the work that's being done. That can present a whole host of issues, especially if you have landowners. But I will also like tout this that we have the standards feasibility exemptions built into it. So if there is ever an instance where, hey, you have a non-compliant road segment and the risk of implementing those practices, it poses a public safety consideration, then by all means, you know, you can contact CCRPC, you can contact myself about bringing that into compliance with the permit so that that doesn't cause any public safety issues.
I have a couple questions. That was a lot of information for me to take in, and I missed, probably got about 20% of it. And so as you were talking, my question I was thinking to Paula was, Paula, do I care about this, or is this you and Jacob?
Me and Jacob.
Okay, so it's largely you and Jacob. I don't need to, you're kind of on this. I don't need to understand every bit of it.
And that's also what a public works person helps
And then my other question was, why does the DEC care about the condition of our roads? Like, why do you, well, if we're not compliant, okay, great, you don't like our road. Why do you care what our roads are what our roads are like?
with. The EPA.
We care about what your roads are like because we are required by Act 64 to do that, and that is required by the Lake Champlain TMDL, which was done by the EPA.
This all goes back to like phosphorus and runoff and clean lake and sort of the whole environmental impact of having roads that aren't being taken care of with massive runoff. Okay.
Yes. And you know, I have answered that question a lot of times with road foremen across the state. And the way that I look at it is I would view this as a way in which to utilize the funding programs to do work that needs to be done throughout your road drainage system. You know, and again, I'll say this again, that if you have it where you have intermittent stream structures in your town and those are not upgraded, I would very much encourage you to look into those structures. Because those are the areas where I've seen the most damage done when we get, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 inches of rain in an hour. If a structure like that cannot handle that amount of water coming through the pipe, it will shoot down the road and it will take out the road. And so I would just definitely walk away from this as like take advantage of the funding programs. And I'm very happy to see that Jericho is involved in the grants and aid program.
Okay, so you care about what our roads are like because you're being aware of the impact of of runoff and stuff on the larger environmental system. And we want, and I, as a select board member, want to be in compliance and be evaluating our roads because that's how we access money from the state to deal with issues in our road.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
great.
and to be clear, I do also care about your roads washing out.
Yes, right, of course, it just, the fact that, you know, roads to be operational, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
that-
but-
that
Yeah,
helps.
Select board also cares about
Right,
phosphorus.
right, exactly.
But when this first came out, everybody was shocked to think that, oh, gravel roads actually responsible for phosphorus?
Right.
I mean, it was really a big deal, and you know, when we had the major training, like when it first started. And it wasn't at the select board level, it was the regional level.
Yeah.
In fact, as they joked about how much Chittenden County was taking in rocks across the state.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Great pictures.
Next on our agenda is to review and consider approval of the harvest market and traffic control with Jamie Labarge.
I'm gonna go here.
That feels weird, doesn't it?
I know,
mean,
it does, I mean, yeah.
Okay, you just sit there. I mean,
You can sit there.
Sit there. I think he's supposed to.
Work for the.
Is it being, I think it's being picked up, 'cause that's.
Oh, that's the microphone right there. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so the items we're looking to cover, for the harvest market, so it's gonna be September 28th and 29th, this year, Saturday the 28th, Sunday the 29th. And we need the V-Trans, Form 111 signed. And we also need from the 2018 proclamation for the no parking signs on the side of Route 15 and River Road, I believe. Raceway. Yes, thank you. And
Not
so.
River Road? Not River Road?
No, I think it's just.
No, he used to
Raceway.
come down
Park on
15
Raceway,
and then
15.
Raceway, yep.
Okay, yeah, and so, yeah. Sorry, let me get my full. So we're requesting the signed document indicating the awareness approving the event. The document will include will be included in the application for commercial assembly permit with the Vermont State Police. We also need this for getting approval from V-Trans to put out the no parking signs. We did include a memorandum from last year that we can use with, I believe it was Catherine's signature, that we can provide to the state police and to V-Trans during that permitting process. We also supplied the no parking proclamation as well for your review. And then in the past, also, we've had the town of Jericho help with the funding for the state police overtime hours. That's been an asset to have the uniformed officers around for the Riverside Flats area to assist with enforcing no parking mandates, which and then also just having the presence to help with the crowd management and any safety concerns that might come up during the event. The other piece is the size of the harvest market, as we've known, has grown substantially. So the crowd estimates, you know, depending on the day and weather, Saturday being the busiest day, it can be anywhere from 7,000 to 20,000 people that attend the event. And so we also are looking for funding with the traffic control portion, which is through, excuse me, through the Green Mountain flagging. Last year, the cost was about $750. The quote we received this year was actually much cheaper, and it's about $440.79 was the quote we received for that this year.
What's that for?
For the traffic control, so where that would be is at that intersection of River Road and Jolly. Because there's parking at Mills Riverside Park and people walk, it's to help manage the traffic with the pedestrians that are coming from Mills Riverside.
So there have been
As well.
flaggers at that intersection before?
There was last year, correct, yes. Yep, and that seemed to help with the traffic
Traffic
flow.
backing up 15.
Backing up 15 and
All
in both directions, exactly, yeah, so.
So what you're looking for funding for the town of Jericho, it's the state police and the traffic control, but we split that, right, between the Jericho and.
Jericho, Underhill,
Underhill,
correct,
okay.
exactly.
I think I was gonna ask about that because we no longer use the state police because we were using our contract before since the last year was the sheriff, said we'd use the sheriff or.
Yeah,
What they-
I can't remember, but I think we did use
Okay.
it worked out where we
Just
just.
used our money,
Yeah,
our hours.
They charge us,
Underhill-
yes,
Underhill did the same thing.
yeah,
They
we just,
did the state police, but yeah.
yeah,
So how does that look?
Yeah, who's there, the state police or the sheriffs?
we split it. I thought it was the sheriffs that we did, but
I think it might have been the sheriff's for the parade portion in the morning, because that starts at Browns River Middle School and goes up River Road to Park Street.
because we don't use the state police anymore. We use all Fuller
Right.
Para.
Right, so, okay, I'll have to go double check that. I was only.
Yeah, because even last year,
I'm gonna call on Dan, who happens to be in the. Do you remember if it was both, were?
No, it was, I believe it was just the sheriff's office.
Okay.
And did Underhill,
Underhill
That I don't know.
would have covered the state
Yeah.
police portion, because they are.
Split it with the sheriffs.
Okay.
I remember getting a bill and I believe it was like Underhill paid this portion for the sheriff and we paid. Because the sheriff's patrol in Underhill.
Okay,
So sheriffs covered the whole
Yeah,
event.
Event.
So you split the cost.
yeah, and we split the cost.
okay,
Yeah,
interesting. Conveyed to me with state police, but. that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I can get that
yeah,
correct.
because
Yeah.
it's harder and harder for the state police, and so we moved to full, instead of using like 10 hours or less, and then it was 8 hours or less. For the state police, we went directly to all sheriffs,
Mhm.
because they were having, they just didn't have enough people themselves.
Okay.
But as long as it just gets split, I mean, the bill comes in and.
Yeah.
We pay.
Right, do we need a motion for those things, or can we
Yeah.
just say, go ahead and do that? Paul?
no, motion.
Okay, so, I would make, trying to listen one motion, I would make a motion, to direct Paula to cover the costs of the sheriff's department and the amount of flagging, in concert with Underhill. Putting the cost with Underhill, is that accurate? Is that?
I think that's fine. I'm gonna sign it. She's got something for me to sign here. So
Okay.
if this motion passes,
Okay.
I'll sign it.
Okay,
And,
great.
Do I have a second on that motion? Is there any discussion or
I'll second.
all those in favor, say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I didn't already say it. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll send
Well, thank this, you should introduce yourself, because this is your first year doing
Yes,
it.
sorry, thank you.
It's Dave Cliff, if it's not Dave Cliff's in there.
Yes, yes, my name is Jamie LaBerge. I'm the new Harvest Market Chair, replacing Dave Cliff, who did it for 8 years prior. So I am taking over and catching up and,
Getting it all figured out.
yeah, learning all the
First
things.
extra hard, I think it's easier every year.
Exactly, yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice weather.
Yes,
I'm
thank
glad they were able to find somebody, because everybody was worried what happens after dead, because my husband's obviously on the steering committee.
Right, exactly.
I'll send that form for you tomorrow. I'll scan it in and send it to you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming
Do
in.
we need anything else? Do you need anything else from us around the parking and the road? Like there was 15 state permits and stuff?
The paperwork that we needed signed off is part of what we submit to V-Trans, so they allow us to put up the signs.
Next on the agenda is update on the Jericho Town Library structure. Lindsay Hunt.
Introduce ourselves and service members, the select board. Hi, Laura.
And Amy?
Amy? Yes.
Amy. Lindsay Hallman, and I'm the chair of the Jericho Town Library Board.
And I'm Catherine Bass, the library director at Jericho Town Library. So we're here today because we've been in communication with the select board about our project at the library to do work on the library to make it more accessible to all community members and also to make some much needed structural repairs to the building, which is now 200 years old this year. So last time we came, we presented a budget estimate for the entire project, which included ADA work. And today we're here with budget estimates just for the structural repairs to the building. And Laura and Amy, since you're new to the select board, we really briefly wanted to give a short overview of the project so far. Basically, it started in 2011. The town started talking about accessibility and compliance or non-compliance with the ADA at Jericho Town Library at that time. And then in 2012, the town and the library began working with Vermont Integrated Architecture, who we're still working with today. That stalled out in 2015 due to lack of funds, but in 2023, we started the process again. We've done some grant applications. We've had a structural engineer come out to the library twice now, once in 2023, and then once again earlier this year. And in the structural assessment, they noted lots of different things, but the biggest issues were some issues with our foundation walls, the attic, the roof of the building, and the work on the porch.
So we're back again. And last time we had asked for your commitment and support to ensure the both structural integrity of this historic building and the safety for everyone who uses it and works there, and also accessibility for all of Jericho's residents and residents from all over our state who utilize our library. And we presented a lot of information last time. Heard that this was not on the priority list for the big $1.8 million project. That said, we went back to Vermont Integrated Architects and Architecture, and they have provided us with just the structural rehabilitation costs for improving the structural integrity and safety of this historic building that is town owned. And so you will see, hopefully, the lovely red and blue document here that shares with you essentially what we had asked last time, was the structural work was going to be, we had said approximately $300,000. Select board, I don't know if the new members know this, but in 2023, Select board had granted $100,000 of the ARPA funds to support the ADA accessibility project. This was prior to us knowing how dire the need to repair the structural integrity of the building is, as like a step one of this process is. We knew there was structural work to be done, but after the most recent structural assessment by an engineer, is very clear that that has to be done for this 200-year-old historic town-owned building. And so you will see that VIA provided the probable cost for the project, and they share that the red refers to the direct structural work, the blue are the associated costs that go along with it, and it's a total of $317,400. So we know the project, like accessibility, is still top on our list as well, but we need to ensure that the building is safe and sound first. And then our hope is that we can have a public-private partnership here, that the board commits to, or the town commits to, funding the structural work that will make the building safe and sound for everyone to utilize, for many people to utilize, I should say, not most, and that we will work on the private aspect of that, of launching a fundraising campaign to ensure that we can realize our goals of ADA accessibility, because it's been now 14 years of trying to make this goal a reality, and this is a public library building in our town, and it should be accessible for everyone. So we are here tonight asking you for your commitment to support the structural repairs.
I have a question about you said an AARP grant?
No, ARPA funds, yeah.
Oh, because
That's money back from.
COVID,
Yeah.
yeah,
well, they still have
Yeah.
$100,000 sitting. Okay.
yeah.
That purpose.
Yeah.
For that purpose, yeah. Before we knew that, it was really around the ADA accessibility project purpose. That said, once we kind of dug a little deeper to the root, we're like, well, there's structural work that must happen first, and this is a town-owned building.
And I certainly thank you for putting together the basic cost for structural, because that, that's something that really needed to be done, but what because the initial 100,000 you were hoping to use is a match for the big grant that didn't happen. But what other grant opportunities do you have for structural? Because I know Preservation Vermont has funding, stuff like that.
I mean, we certainly can apply for Preservation Vermont. I mean, as you know, the federal grants, there are none. For
They're all
libraries.
growth.
Right, and so, I mean, really, we were anticipating a big HUD grant that the state librarian had said we would be like a shoo-in for after we had a meeting and a visit with her last year. That has not even been posted. It's supposed to be posted in January. It's not gonna be posted. So we can go to Preservation Trust and look for a grant. If they're not, but we need to, every grant tour looks for the town's match. They look to see, this is a municipal building, so they're
Right.
looking for the partnership with the town. So
That's why there's the $100,000 still sitting there. But it's always helpful to have every grant that you possibly can apply for it.
Yeah, we have been doing that, that is for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is, I can tell you in this world of grants right now and funding for libraries, there is nothing. And so we're still scanning and applying for whatever we have. I mean, Catherine has done a tremendous amount of work applying for grants. And that said, $300,000 to ensure that the building is structurally safe and sound is a small portion of the total cost. We would then be going to our own campaign to, really raise the funds to ensure we can complete the entire project.
You mean the ADA stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, the $1.5 million.
So just for, I don't know how much Laura, you or Amy, you guys know, the town of Jericho, which I didn't know until recently. The town of Jericho, we, the select board, own the building itself. The Jericho Town Library is a separate entity that operates inside the building.
Well, Catherine's a town employee too.
Right, yeah.
But the
So,
interesting
but
thing
it's, but it's just, it's a weird relationship. in terms
because it
of-
went back and forth whether the library owned it at one point, and then for $1 it was back, and then it became the town, and then, way back in the, back and forth history.
And current history is the town of building.
Yeah,
Is a town employee.
Right, exactly.
Along with other part-time employees.
Yeah.
And we really, really need this partnership with you all in order to make this happen. And it is a treasured library. I mean, it has grown. And one thing you don't know, Laura and Amy, I don't know if you're patrons of the library, but over the past 2+ years, just our number of patrons, our collections, our library usage, our programs has grown at a really extraordinary rate. We've presented that data like a lot of times to the board. It's a very valued entity in our town. It's the center it's the center of the center, and we're celebrating the 200th anniversary, and it feels like it's an important time to really make this happen, this work that's been in process since 2011.
And part of the reason that we would really like to partner more with the town fiscally is that a lot of the feedback that we've received from possible granting organizations is they don't want to give us money that would only fund part of something that needs to happen altogether. And I've received that feedback from at least 3 different organizations as reasons that they either didn't grant us grants that I applied for, or reasons that we shouldn't even bother applying.
But to Catherine's point, that 100,000 was slated to you. That would cover an awful lot of match on any grant, right? So even a 10% match, or what are typical grant matches?
20.
20, okay, so that would cover,
$500,000.
thank you. $500,000 grant, right? So like, that's sitting there waiting to be used for that. So why are they saying we're not matching if we are willing to match?
I think we definitely were able to use that as, a match for the grant we applied through last year, right? I mean, we said the town had committed this funding. Other than that, I'm not sure, I'm not, like, we're not quite sure what, like, I mean, yes, it's $100,000. But is that all the town's gonna commit to this work when it's, I mean, the grants aren't guaranteed. Like, I just know my own life as running a nonprofit, the grant world is a rough world, right? I mean, it's like, it's not a guaranteed piece. What we do know is that we could launch, a fundraising campaign and have some success with that if the town is able to say, we own this building, we care about the safety of people that use it and the integrity of the building. We're gonna contribute $317,400 to this. And actually it's $217,400 more than what, originally is being offered. While we're doing the rest of the work to fundraise. Because I don't think the grant world is really gonna be successful. I mean, we're gonna be here for years. You're gonna see us year after year, trying to make this happen.
I know the old mill, it also needs grant funding and stuff, and they, they're looking at, even, okay, this year we do the roof, this year we're doing that, and they're also grants. Yeah.
Chipping away at pieces.
Yeah. And, and they put it aside, they have money coming from the town, very small amount, and then money that they, earn off the building. For the rent of the building and things like that.
I just want to ask, like, so you have the 100,000, and I'm just asking the question. The 200,000, like you're asking the town to give, that's a lot of money, and now, like, we have to some way put it in we didn't put it in this fiscal year's budget, so we would have to put it in our next year's fiscal budget, and then that's gonna increase.
Or you can say for the next 2 years, we will contribute $100,000 each year over 3 years.
Right,
And that way we have the minutes from you all saying, we know that we have the funds for the structural integrity and safety of the building. If the town commits to $100,000 in the town budget over 3 years, that at least allows us to then use that messaging and that commitment from you all to then raise the funds that we need to complete this project.
So, sorry, can I?
Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
I was a little confused about the ask, but I think I'm a little clearer now.
To be sure, just to clarify, this is Brian Stevens, our treasurer.
We have met.
Yeah.
We have met.
The new select members may not.
Yes, right. Yeah.
So I was a little confused in that I think originally we were doing just that. We were pledging the 100 as the match or whatever, as showing the good sign of faith and commitment of the town for
the ADA accessibility project.
Great. So now are you looking to say, okay, if you now give us the 317, then that will go a lot further towards getting you additional grant monies?
No,
No.
I think what they're saying is they want the town to completely fund the structural thing, and then they will work on funding the ADA thing.
Mhm.
Right.
It's a little bit of a separate ask, but yes, I think it's yes and it's both, because if we have the commitment for the town to say, we actually are gonna take care of the structural integrity and safety of this building, because those things, when we last met, we didn't know all of this, how dire the situation is. I use the word dire, but it is dire. We don't really know. They said within the next year, these things need to happen. We have people working and using that building every day. And so we didn't know that when we last met. I think it was like last summer, maybe, or
It was, I think, May last year.
yes. Yeah. So we were like laser focused on accessibility, right? And like that was what we were thinking about. And so then we found out this new information that felt like there's layers to this project that has to go in a sequence. And the town owns this building. The town should pay for the structural work that ensures this building is safe for the community. We will take care of the ADA piece. But for a grant, to answer your question, yeah, it shows that the town has a partnership with this library and really cares to, will help us in any of our grant applications. The $100,000 and now we're asking for the $300,000.
You're asking for 317,000 in addition to the 100,000.
No, we're asking for 217.
217 additional dollars.
And so if you think about it, $100,000 over the next 3 budget years, because essentially, I mean,
Next 2 budget years.
next 2 budget years, right? So we have, next 2 budget years. Essentially, if we can then say the town has agreed to this over the next 2 years, this is what they've agreed to, we can then raise the money needed to get started on this project, which would be the structural work. And then does that make sense? Like, so it might not be your money, but it'll be some money that is available for us to start the work for
What money would it be?
it would be the $100,000 that you've
The
already,
ARPA money.
that
Okay.
plus whatever fundraising we do.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the fundraising that you do plan to do, or have you thought about any of that?
Yeah, we have a thought. Do you want to talk about it? You want me to talk about it?
I think we're still planning some of it, but basically we want to do a really large capital campaign and get people excited about the 200th anniversary of the building. And we have a plan to reignite our Friends of the Library group. We used to have one in the past, but it hasn't been around for a few years. And we think that would be really helpful in reaching out to different community members and just helping raise people's awareness and really leverage the energy and time and love of people who really already care about the library and building.
Yes. So, I mean, we have a plan and a vision for our fundraising efforts. We can't pursue any of those until we know, if we have this public-private, until we know what the town is going to be able to. I don't think people are going to be that positive about fundraising for the town-owned building when they're saying, well, why isn't the town contributing to this? And so when we say we have a public-private partnership here, we can reactivate our Friends of the Library, we can launch a campaign. It feels like the right time. It's the 200th year. People can get their heads around it. People care right now about things that are actually they're losing funding. So it feels like a good time for us to do this. We just can't pursue anything until we have a clear answer from you all.
Speaking for myself, I can tell you, I mean, it's hard for me, honestly, to commit money at this point without, we're going to be talking later tonight about starting our budget process. And, our taxes went up 21% last year, which is the first time they've gone up that much, I think, ever since I've lived in this town.
Yeah, and that's the town tax.
Towns.
Right, right, the town tax.
Thank goodness that the school, they.
So it just,
Essentially,
I
level taxed. Still.
I don't know that I feel like we can say, yes, we'll contribute $200,000 in the next 2 years. I mean, for me personally, like $50,000 over the next 4 years, I begin to get my head around that, just me personally. But I feel like we need to look at the budget and see
Right.
I mean, and I 100% appreciate that that's a town-owned building and it's a historic building that needs to be preserved. But we also need like wastewater and roads and all these other things that are pulling on us. That's just me sort of giving my initial reaction.
Yeah, because you can't grow the grand list unless you have wastewater or some of these other infrastructure issues. This is the first year people are going to see the garage on their
Right, true.
taxes.
Yeah.
I think, I hear what you're saying. I mean, clearly I live in this town and I understand the impact that it has on, my own life. But I think that what we know about a library is that it really is the center of equity in any town, that anyone in a town can access this. And if you're thinking about affordable housing and you're thinking about people moving into this town and you're thinking about making sure that this town is truly accessible for everyone, the library is the heart of that. And it's a place unlike the town garage, which is an essential part of the town, where people go in and out of it every day, all generations. It's so all people, it doesn't matter what their viewpoints are. So I that would be my library argument back to you in saying, I do think it's an essential part of our community. It's a place where people gather, it's a place where people learn, it's a place where people connect with each other, it's a community center. And so, maybe it's not on the top of the list like roads and wastewater, but I really do believe it is a really high value project that needs to be addressed.
And just to be clear, I 100% agree with all of that. I'm not saying that wastewater is more important than library. I'm saying that we've got a whole host of people pulling us in different directions,
Sure.
asking for money, and
That's why you have to do the budget, work through the budget numbers first to see where we are. I mean, we can't commit it. I would not be ready to commit anything tonight either until we start working through the budget process and see what the numbers are looking like for the year.
I guess the other piece is we've come to the board, we've now come to you all like so many times that it's getting to be a little bit draining.
Yeah, I know, but at least you have, you have
A lot of work too.
you got the dreamscape project and then you have the structural project. So they're separate numbers that people can look at and understand.
Yes, but I think what I'm asking, what the board's asking, and what, we're hoping for is an actual clear roadmap from you all. Like, we need an answer. We can't just come to these meetings every couple months. And we're paying for this too. Like, we're using our funds that we've fundraised to pay for these plans. It's not like they're not doing it for free and volunteering, I mean, this is, we've spent hours with them now. We've looked at the plans, we've redesigned the plans a number of times. Like, we're not like backing down from this project. This is an important project. And so we are spending money that we could be spending on actually making these improvements.
You are so good at advocating for this library, and I think you're amazing at it. Lindsay and I spoke maybe a month ago, having a similar conversation. I said a lot of the same things Peter said, and Lindsay said some of the same things that she said. And so one thing I encouraged her is I'm like, can we please just get this split out so I can understand and have a list in front of me of what the structural part is and separate it from the ADA, which we all know we should have. But that and comparing it to a 200-year-old building just doesn't mesh in my head. So I appreciate the list. I'll be honest, I was hoping it'd be so much smaller. I get it. It's like every project you plan in life and town and business, it ends up being 3 times more than it should be. It's just so much money for just the structural stuff that is, according to these engineers, this is the minimum you need to do to make it safe and structurally safe and whatever. And you could build it. It seemed like a new library.
Just like
for that.
I know
that's probably
you
not
can't
true.
do that, obviously.
They have to move the building and like fix the foundation, right? I mean,
Right,
it's,
jack the building up.
it's a failing foundation.
Even if you went for the bond, I mean, it's still paid back over a few years. I mean, it's still.
I mean, and just for one of the comments that you made about the grants. When we don't get grants, we don't do the project, right? Like, we've asked for grants for the completing the sidewalk up to MMU 4 times.
Right.
And we got it on the 4th time. And so that means we can probably have done probably 4 years after my youngest daughter graduated from high school, right? That's what we had to, we just don't do it. We didn't say, well, we didn't get the $2 million grant, so we're just gonna add it to the budget, right? So it's not fair to just say, well, we didn't get a grant, so the $100,000 you gave us is only 1/3 of what we need, right? And so I guess a couple things. It feels like. Well,
Can I ask you a question before you finish that sentence?
yes.
This is a question for Brian and Catherine. What if we, from a position of not really understanding stuff, like what if we bonded for $200,000 over 10 years? They get all the money up front, and then we pay it back $23,000 a year or something.
But don't you think the citizens of Jericho should be?
They have
But
to.
they bonded, they have to
vote on
they
that.
have to
Yeah,
vote
they
on that,
bonded,
right?
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Put it
What I learned, if it's under 5 years.
Put together a bond vote.
Only
You can afford to do a 4-year loan, and you technically
Only
have
that
to
you
have
get
it.
the vote of the people understand what their priorities are.
Right.
But it feels like that would be
the numbers are fairly easy to do. It's 200,000.
Right. Oh.
And X% and
Right,
10
it's
years.
just math, and then it's
Math is-
$24,000 a year or whatever.
But I think the fun, interesting part is when you go to a vote, what will the town say?
Right.
And I don't know, I don't have a feel for it, but I think that's the actual interesting process, a part of the process is that you get the towns and it isn't the 3 to 5 people here now, it's the entire town. And I also wonder if, if you were to juxtapose the fact that, well, you've got a bond, or as you were saying, Lindsay, what if you went to the town as an overall fundraising opportunity? What would the response be? So, which way would you be more successful? I don't know.
Again, I think for us, I think it has to be both. I think we have to take as many angles, towards, like, right, we could just say we didn't get the grant for the full project last year, let's be done, and then we're gonna have to, the building is not gonna be safe, right? Like, so what, and
I was suggesting you give up,
Right,
I'm
I know.
saying you go to the other structural, historical, whatever that thing was that Catherine has memorized,
Yeah. I mean, believe me, that is on like the
I'm
tab.
I'm not saying you're not, I'm
know,
just saying.
But I think it is, I mean, to me, to say, $200,000 over 10 years and then we would be able to, I mean, I think that could be something that maybe the towns, I don't know, townspeople, maybe they could feel okay with, knowing that it's really not an impact on them it's a very small impact, right? Or if you don't do it a bond vote, you said under 4 years? Is that what you said?
Under 5.
Under 5? So in 4 years, $250,000 a year, right?
But then it takes you that long just to do structure, but during that time, the cost goes up.
Right.
Well, no.
Well, unless-
You
yeah.
apply for the loan today, and you get 400,000 today, you pay it over 4 years.
So that's why you're using the 5-year note as opposed to a bond then.
Right, well, just because that's what you told me, I asked a question a couple months ago, why do we sometimes have to go to the voters and sometimes we don't, and the answer was the term.
5-year note doesn't require a voter.
I think is it 5 or under? Is it 5 or
There's a
under?
dollar amount too that is involved in that as
Okay.
well. But I'll do the numbers. But I also think it'd be interesting, you were talking about the math, Peter. Okay, what's the impact over to the town or by household or by average,
$400,000 of valuation or whatever.
Correct. And on an annual basis for 10 years, what's the impact? Versus what if you went to a fundraising drive and said, hey, we need X number of donations at this amount? And I'm just wondering what the dollar difference would be and how palatable, how different that might have an appeal, one versus the other. And sadly, I'll go one other thing, and I shouldn't say this because it might bring up some bad thoughts. With the mill, with the mill, which was an old historic property, the folks at the Historical Society were able to go on a fundraising effort, and they came up with, I'm thinking the number was about $84,000.
It was 84, it was 94.
94. So now, I don't know how many patrons they had or maybe there was one significant, I don't know the numbers. But if that's sort of an indication of what you could do, maybe even independent of a bond. But we can do the numbers. We can do the numbers, but.
I think that, and I think maybe I didn't finish my point before too, because I lost track, but I think though, the idea of the both piece is really important because if we were to ask people at a fundraising event for, kick in money for this project, they're gonna be like, well, what is the town kicking in? And if we're saying the towns gave us $100,000 in 2023 from the ARPA funds, right? Which, they're gonna say, well, why aren't they, there's gonna be a lot of questions, I think, around like the fact that this is a town-owned building.
The town is not some entity that is a benevolent grandfather here.
No,
Right,
The town is us.
right. Well,
that's a lot of
okay. Those that leave the town had granted us $100,000, but in 2023, but people might say, well, isn't it, if it's a town building, where is that partnership? So I think we need both like the commitment, and I think we'll have a stronger, we'll have more success with fundraising if we can show that there's this partnership, that there is a commitment and over however many years it takes, whatever works. I mean, we've been working on this. I mean, not me, but the library board has been working on this since 2011, and we're gonna keep working on it. So, if it takes another 10 years to make it happen, it's gonna happen. We're not gonna let it go. It's not okay to let that go.
Brian, what's a guess of an interest rate we'd be borrowing at? Just like pick it out of the air.
4.2, 4.25 maybe. Although the shorter, it's 4.25.
44 is easier.
I have a suggestion. So another thing to remember is that ARPA money was one time in a lifetime money. We will never see something like that again. That was very different. The select board did a ton of outreach, and we figured out
and surveys
and with help from the planning commission, so many people went into like, how should we best use this money? And then after that, it was pretty fun. We had $1.5 million that we could spend, right? That's gone now. We did all that. We bought a building. We put some money towards the garage. We gave $100,000 to the library. We did
The other library.
We did some.
The fire department got money.
Right, so we get to do a bunch of stuff.
Public, there was recreational money. Fun stuff.
But I think us committing to you right now as a select board, $200,000 out of this year's budget is not something that we can do. I mean, this coming budget season, but what I suggest, and I suggest that the select board agree with me, that'd be great. Is that we work this into the budget process, right? We're trying to be very open about our budget process. We have several meetings. I guess I would suggest that we find a way to work this into that first meeting, and we say, hey, we're thinking about, the budget process is both about the budget and about what warning items go, whatever you call those warning items that go on the ballot. And so I think
Articles.
Yeah, I think we do that, and I think we talk about it in the budget, and through that process, as we're building the budget over the fall, that it's gonna start, it's on the agenda later, I guess.
I mean, because it's true, the public, it was not a bond. It was $18,560 for 10 years.
For the old Red Mill.
For the old
Yeah.
Red Mill.
And so I think,
They helped them with.
And that wasn't a decision, that was on a ballot. They
That was-
voted for
That
that.
was an individual,
I think that's the place for it, and I think we can talk about it and work the budget. I don't think this board, based on what I'm hearing, is ready to add 200 grand to next year's budget out of the bat before we've even looked at anything, right? Usually what happens is Paula comes to us and it starts out with a list just like this, and we're like, oh my God, it's already up that much and we haven't even done anything fun yet. So I think for me, the thought of throwing 200 grand at that on top of whatever she's already got, coming at us is, I don't think we can
right,
do that
because the
tonight.
federal,
But I think
it's
we
a lot
do it
less
as part of
federal
the
money for
process.
anything.
And then we have discussions, and we do like what Brian said, and maybe we do a ballot, or we figure out a bond, or we do something short term and say, well, all right.
Or look at
50
like
grand over 4 years.
look at like what a 5-year bond look like, 7-year bond, a 10-year bond. What do those things look like? And
we're just simply the tax rate to bring in X number of dollars per year for 10 years.
So then is this something that Jeff York, our treasurer, would talk to you about when he talks about the library budget, or is this something separate that?
It would be totally
I
separate.
think it would be separate. I would encourage you to go to that first meeting.
Okay.
And have it be one of the things that we talk about and we work on throughout the year, and we'll have a lot of different meetings where we're figuring out what goes in, what comes out, where we can cut, where.
I like the idea of putting it on the warning separate.
And so I think having it on its own warning will tell us what we need to know. And,
Absolutely.
like, it'll, like Brian said, then you have a mandate, you don't have like some board that can turn over and change their mind next year. You have a mandate from the citizens saying yes, or you might get one that says no.
And they might say no, you don't know. Depending on what the
I
economy
think
looks
that's,
like.
I think that's good. I'll say no to the library.
I think that's the right approach.
Because they
But
are supporting the other.
There's 4 more of us that can certainly challenge.
They, you know, they support the DeMarosa.
Haven't said much because they have so much to learn, but I feel very supportive of the town library at the Jericho Center Library. I just don't know enough about the way the money gets spent and allocated, but it seems like there is a solution that we can talk through, but clearly not at this meeting. We're not there yet.
And I was hoping we'd be there when we talked. But I was hoping that would be a 2 and not a 3.
Yeah, because then that's,
I think I said 3 last time. I said
probably did. I was hopeful.
estimating 3 and then, but,
here
and,
comes in 370. No, that's very good. That's good.
Yeah.
yeah, when I looked at just the, the breakdown of the big.
One last point of clarification, and I don't know if this is for them or for Catherine who knows everything. This is their estimate of what it would take. Is this their quote of "we will do the work"?
No.
This is their, so if we put this out to bid or out to,
It could come in
on
Friday.
a ballot, it
Yeah.
comes back and they say yes, then we would put it out to bid, right? Then we would say, here's the general stuff we want coming in, and so we don't know what it's actually gonna come back at.
Because it could come in.
This is their due diligence of their best guess of what they think it might
One
be.
would hope it
But you
comes
still
first.
have to see the bids, right?
The competitive bidding.
When I looked at the budget breakdown there, it wasn't clear to me whether all of those things are safety issues or whether there's a way to just pull out the most immediate ones.
Well, that was another.
Those were the 3 immediate. So actually, there's a lot more that we could probably dig into in the structural report, but these were the 3 areas that were identified as needs attention within the next year.
The foundation, the first floor, and roof.
Yeah, the foundation, 2 of the walls are going out due to water damage. So I think part of the reason that's so expensive is that of course they have to replace the foundation, but there also has to be a water management system in place so that it doesn't continue to degrade quickly and need the same kind of repair work. And then with the attic and the roof, the structural engineers can't even access all of it to even totally see what's going on right now. So part of that is like building into the roof area so that they can actually go investigate further.
Yeah, and Laura and Amy, we can share with you the structural report. It has pictures and it has that information. So that's just so you have an understanding. I mean, there's a lot of documents that we've shared, but that might just be if that's okay to share that with you. I mean, you don't have to look at it, but that might just give you more.
Have they had one of those basement companies come and look at the Boeing wall?
Well, we've had those 2 structural engineers look at it.
Yeah.
And they have gone down. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Those basement companies are garbage.
Yeah.
I had basement problems. They just dig a trench around the entire basement and jet it out. That was my experience.
Disagree. I had a basement company come and I had a wall, it is a block wall that's like bowing in, from the water. And they had these fancy jacks basically that go up against the wall and they like screw in and they basically take that load off the wall. There's obviously other water stuff you gotta do to keep it from doing that, but,
That's a different problem that I had. Yes, that's.
but so that when I heard Boeing wall, I was just thinking about, it wasn't cheap, but it wasn't $134,000. So anyway, I think that's probably the right path, to go.
And can we be put on that budget meeting?
You just come.
You just come and you
I mean,
get,
we'll try to,
okay.
I don't know exactly
Yeah,
how it's
kind
gonna
of-
be, but we'll work with the TMRI group and,
Yes, I have you down.
When you say the budget meeting, do you mean the kickoff?
During the
The
kickoff.
kickoff meeting?
Rather than the select board meeting, that
the
one.
kickoff.
Oh.
To start the conversation, right? Cause that's
That
where,
would start
that's
the
where conversation
Yeah,
starts.
That's right.
That's September 20th.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
10 to noon, location to be determined, 10 a.m., 10 a.m. to probably Saturday.
Yeah, that makes the sense
Jericho
because
Town
then
Library.
that's where that I get
You
started.
can post it. You can, do what you say, so.
That's a good, nice final stop. Well played, well played.
She's good. She's
Yeah.
good. No, I'm sorry you're not getting the answer you want tonight. I think it's the right approach.
Yeah.
And I know it
Thank you.
delayed it
Yeah.
further, but I think it's the way to go.
Okay,
Thank you.
great, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I think because the sheriff has been here a long time, before we started talking about Raceway, why don't we just do the sheriff's contract?
Yes.
Jack got here before Dan did, but we can do that one will probably be quick.
I was gonna say it should be quicker, I mean, because, I really appreciate the what Jack locomotion and. Yeah.
Yep.
And, the.
And you, so
like
so
people have done.
so what we're doing is we're gonna skip the
I really-
AARP for a minute and we're gonna go to
To
review and consider
sheriff.
approval of the FY 26 Chittenden County Sheriff's contract.
Yes.
You lead this conversation?
Yes, she should.
Okay, I can. So the contract, this year is, last year it was $70, per hour for 50 hours. This year it's $80 per hour for 50 hours. But I had thrown in, the memo just for consideration, since we were talking, traffic safety and calming, could we possibly, do 60 hours if you guys were, fine with doing 60 hours?
Well, I looked at that, one, like even the 50 hours is $18,000 over what we budgeted.
Yeah, we budgeted 193.
And this is
year.
208.
190, I'm sorry.
Yeah, 190, and
Yep.
this is 208, so that's
Yep.
18,000 over budget. And then the other one is almost 60,000 over budget.
Yes,
And that's, given that we have the FEMA stuff, and who knows if you're ever gonna get our general fund balance the rainy day
my
fund.
thought of this, and my thought is because we've had a lot of people coming in, talking about speeding, talking
Right,
about.
that's true.
All of this, so I
just wonder
was
about
trying to be
funding.
proactive on this and just see what your thoughts are about
I mean,
moving to 60 hours a week.
So can we
What do we-
just
sorry, what do we
calmly go through the numbers just real quick? So
Yes.
what we approved in our budget was 50 hours per week at 70, is that correct? So 50
That was last year,
times
yeah.
52.
so this year they
And
budgeted
70.
190.
So we budgeted 182, or that was last year,
Yep,
ending when? What?
July 1.
Okay,
for July 1, we have 190 in our budget.
okay, so we anticipated a little bit of it.
Yes.
We anticipated half, so then it went to 182, and so that's going up by,
So we budgeted 190 and now it's 208.
182 to 208, okay, so it's 16.
But yeah, I agree. I thought that that's why you were thinking the 60, but we certainly have to have a discussion if you're going to increase it by 60,000.
Yeah, I'm totally, that's why I kind of put it, either if you want to stay with the 50, that's fine. If you want to do the 60, I put in the option because, like I said, we have had so many people come to our meetings and complain about speeding and complain about we need more hours for the sheriff. So that's why I put either of those choices, and it's totally your call on.
Yeah.
What's the status, the plan for the $30,000?
So we've used, I think, 7,000 of it. We've ordered the speed humps. We have the new radar signs, which is gonna be, if you order 2, it'll be over $10,000. So you're already close to
Alright.
20,000.
Yeah, I think that's why people don't understand what the numbers look like when you actually start to go by.
For
these.
sure, yeah.
I did, yes, thank you, Susan, sorry. You don't want to keep looking at that, Susan, thank you. Okay. I don't know, I have a hard time personally adding 60 grand to the budget.
Yeah, I mean,
But Al was right, that roads and speeding are probably, and parking are probably our most common
Complaints,
complaints.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I can understand using the money, but I'm just concerned that because of the, the likelihood that we get reimbursed for last year's projects and this ones we have to complete, that, and those come out of our rainy day fund, which is the unrestricted general bailiff.
Right.
What
And
project
the
you talking
old
about?
pump bridge already went over budget by
Oh,
100 grand.
The FEMA money, FEMA.
Oh, you mean you're thinking about the big picture? We've got a bunch of FEMA money we're expecting, which we've got.
No, we're not having, we would like to get it, but we don't know if, it's
I'm
not,
saying we're expecting, but we very well might not get it
Right.
because everything's falling apart.
yeah,
So
exactly.
you're saying we may have to absorb all of that expense.
Because we already did the
Right,
work,
no, no,
and we
yeah.
have to do the work,
No, I
there's more
understand.
this year, so the likelihood. I guess people have not even been paid since 2023, and all the flooding.
Yeah, so you're saying we're gonna probably be massively
Exactly.
over budget heading into the next year. Yeah.
Anyway, so whether 60,000, I mean, it's a tough call, because you gotta protect your roads, so there's the FEMA, FEMA work that you have to get done, and then here we have the, people are. Even the state police complained about people just after COVID, it's just been so much more speeding and much more accident prone.
Yeah, I personally can't see spending an extra $41,000 beyond for the extra 10 hours a week, given the financial situation we're gonna be in. People, yes, they want speeding to be dealt with, and they gave us $30,000, which isn't a ton of money, but we did some things with it. But I think that
And that could cover some of the money for
$41,000
just the 50.
I think $41,000 is too much to.
And
Just
technically, it's more,
chuck that.
$60,000 more than we budgeted.
Yeah, but I think the decision point is 208,000 or 249,000.
That's true. 200, that is.
So the decision is for an extra $41,000.
Yeah.
Is that, typical that the hourly rate would down?
I mean, I can explain why. The price of police cars have gone up 10 to 15,000. I mean, used to be able to buy a Crown Vic back in the day for 18 grand.
Oh, that's right.
We're paying for a car without anything in it, right? And you get deals because they go out, the state go out to bids with GMC or a Ford. So a Explorer right now is 52,000. And the Chevy Tahoes are close to 62,000. That's without any equipment in it. So you're looking at 75,000 for a Tahoe, and you're looking at 62 to 65,000 for a Ford.
And of course, all your employment costs have gone up too with the healthcare and everything else.
Everything. Yeah, I mean, that's the reason for the jump. I mean, it's the car more than anything. It's expensive.
How much was it last year? Was it 70 last year? $70 an hour?
It was.
And what was it? Do you know what it was the year before that?
I think it was 65.
That, yeah.
The price of police cars is just, they're outrageous. It's just, they've gone up so high. And but you're stuck. You got mostly two. I mean, the Chryslers make them. I couldn't fit in a Chrysler. That's how small they are.
Yeah.
And you don't see many of them around. I mean, Colchester has Chryslers, but I think Williston's got a couple, but it's either the Fords or the Chevys. And they're expensive. As you know, you go to a lot. I mean, the Chevy Tahoes, the ones that we buy for 62,000, a person that goes down to Key Auto to get a Tahoe, that same car you're gonna be paying 90,000 for. That's where the difference is on what they call state bid.
Yeah.
Is the GM tries to do the lowest they can to build a police car. And yeah, it's awful.
But
So-
if somebody actually go pay 90,000 themselves, oh, that hurts.
What's the state police hourly cost? We went to sheriff's because it's less expensive.
They won't sign a contract.
Oh, they
They
won't,
won't put
okay.
out a contract.
Well, when we
They're only
quit,
ever available 10 hours. And
then when
that
they-
has available.
Then they went, yeah.
And then.
and when.
And then they wanted the
we
amendment.
moved, when they said they couldn't do much anymore, they were already $88 an hour then.
Our agency had 2,600 car stops last year. Which I think between Jericho, Underhill, Westford, and we got Westford and Charlotte are down to 7 hours. Because we brought the rate up, they brought the 3 hours a week down, It was like 2,600 car stops that we made. So, I
It's
mean,
in
the guys
Jericho.
are out there to
Oh,
push
yeah.
the speed limit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, there's no question. I mean, I watch people use once they hit the flats on Nashville, boy.
So I'd make a motion to approve a contract for 50 hours a week at a rate of $8 per hour with the Chittenden County Sheriffs.
All those in favor say aye.
I,
Aye.
Aye.
Did I hear you, Amy?
No, you didn't because I'm nay.
Okay. The motion passes 4-1. And I guess that's it.
But again,
You only need my signature.
I do want to thank you guys for, at least thinking about what I had thrown out there about the trying to figure out something with the Jerry Hill sidewalk and coming back with a program that would do that. Appreciate the extra time that.
Actually, a quick question. Sure. I actually called the sheriffs this afternoon and spoke with somebody. And I asked, and I'll just ask you the same question I asked him and just make sure that it lines up since you're the big guy. If we wanted to have if Paula called you guys and said, hey, can you patrol these roads here and ticket people for parking in the town right away? The officer who I spoke to said, to do that, you need to pass an ordinance.
You got an ordinance?
We don't.
Yeah.
We have to pass an ordinance and then put up signs. Otherwise, he said, I'm not really comfortable ticketing.
Unless it's impeding the flow of traffic.
Yeah.
Then it becomes a whole different issue. Because there's also a state statute for it's called standing and parking on a roadway, which is a state violation, which is a traffic ticket. But on a parking violation on a roadway, it'd have to be proper signage and an ordinance, because they have the right to fight that in municipal court, traffic court.
All right, they do.
So, but if you don't have that ordinance in place,
There isn't,
the traffic court judge is gonna toss it.
Well, I'm saying this because you can park on the road on Route 15 and stuff, the state allows you to park on the road.
As long as you're on one side of on the right
Yep,
side of
on
the
one
way.
side, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Well,
Review, next on the agenda is to review and consider approval of the AARP grant for existing sidewalk on Raceway. Yeah, that was.
We have our reading through all of the notes in the packet, word for word.
Yes,
I think I'd like to review all the word. I'd like to read everything in the packet out loud before we begin.
Yeah, why don't you do that and I'll be at JCAT.
We're actually probably down to the A&B before they close.
All right, I think they close at 8. Yeah, what do you got for us?
Are you also
Yes.
mentioning things?
No, go ahead. Okay, so it's good. Yeah.
Thanks, Dan.
take care, nice meeting you guys.
Thank you,
Thank
thank you.
No, go ahead, Jack.
Okay, so the update is that following the no vote on the 11th or 10th or whatever day that was.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
No, I remember.
He was in shock, which, I mean, he just got unloaded on.
I reached out to AARP, their community challenge grant office and the local state representative, like state representative, but the representative for AARP in the state, Kelly Stoddard, for about, first of all, mentioning we didn't get it. We're sorry that, we had for an extension and it didn't work out. There was this idea mentioned of, instead of using it for a temporary installation along Raceway, that we might, maybe as some future grant idea, rehabilitate the sidewalk. At that point, the grant office was receptive. They said, tell me more. I worked with Paula to find a number of what the town could feasibly see as a cost for this. Worked with AARP office to change the scope of the grant, rewrite the grant agreement, and get another extension to be able to bring it here. And we were able to increase the grant from 3,500 to 8,000.
and the scope from a temporary pedestrian lane to rehabilitation of sidewalk along Raceway. So I from local motion and also from local motion, and then Jessica from the Jericho Bicycle and Pedestrian Connectivity Committee. I suppose I'm here to ask you to accept the grant on behalf of now the town rather than the committee. In order to administer and oversee the rehabilitation of this side path, and that is it.
If anyone has questions about what the path is, we can describe it.
Or I can,
We have a map, I think.
I
Yeah,
can
put it up. I think that's
pull it up on
cool.
the map. All right.
I wouldn't do that because I hurt my knee every time I do it.
I know Eric is pulling this up and I appreciate that from him. While he does that, my question is about the no path discovered between Raceway and Route 15, if that is covered in your grant, or if that is we're not doing a sidewalk there. If you can help me understand that while this gets pulled up.
Yeah, so the scope of the AARP grant is intentionally very broad because we're going to have to be doing discovery as part of this excavation. From a walk that me and Jessica had gone on, and we used kind of like a probe, it was like a stick on the side of the road. And we stabbed down into the dirt. That's exactly what Eric and I did. We picked up a stick and like poke. There's a path that you can see coming down between the 465.
147.
Oh, 145 and 147.
You can see it in the
Yeah.
planning map.
Right. That is currently exposed, and then from there to the second line of vegetation, you are able to feel asphalt when you poke down, and it's like it varies from covered by a year's worth of leaf litter to maybe an inch or so of dirt and silt. After that, it seems as though there is trees growing where the path would otherwise be.
Oh, dear. So, yeah, so that grassy area, we think that there's asphalt underneath, and my guess is that since Raceway has a lot of material added to it every winter, that the sediment from the road has just buried it.
That makes sense.
So I think honestly, some elbow grease would restore part of that path. I don't know if it would need to be resurfaced because it's 40 years old, to make sure that someone with a walker could safely navigate it. But that area where the trees are right before the intersection, those are pretty substantial shrubs. Some of them are invasive. They don't look like they don't look beloved, but they look like they're kind of a privacy screen. And we couldn't really get under there to see whether the path ended there or continued and the shrubs just grew through the path.
Would you be removing those trees of part of this grant, or what would?
Or is that the town?
Yeah.
So with the 8,000, they're removing whole trees to that scale. Might not be
I don't-
our ability.
sure.
They're not trees. I don't think they're heavy brush.
No, it's
Heavy
not.
brush.
Yeah.
Of some honeysuckle bushes.
Sure.
Yeah.
The question is that I assume that's an apartment building. Those shrubberies provide some level of privacy, screening, and like keeping kids' basketballs from rolling into the road. So I don't know if that property owner would care at all if we trimmed the shrubs back. I don't think they're I don't think the shrubs are growing in the path. I think they're encroaching into the sidewalk. And we have not discovered whether the path originally continued. Maybe we could look back in historical records to figure out when it was put in, if it just went that far and then popped onto the road, because the road widens, as Jack maybe mentioned, it widens appreciably right where that intersection is. So it would be perhaps, it would be a great, I think it would be safer even if we only went up to the shrubbery and then had the people move onto the road. It would still be safer than it is now.
And so, the entire path that we're talking about right now lies within the public right of way, so the trees might be serving some sort of benefit to the residents on that apartment on Route 15, but
Yeah.
legally are the
Right,
towns.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah,
for
although
sure.
part of that might be the states, because we do above the state highway there.
Yeah.
And we would need to coordinate with the state to continue the path all the way to the sidewalk
Mm.
once we enter their property.
Mm.
The path, I mean, Jerry Hill seems to have been built, I couldn't find too much public record, but first habitated in 1981.
Wow.
The path seems kind of to be pushing that age as well.
1981-ish.
So it is very possible that over the years, the turnaround raceway has widened and widened. And that the vegetation that has grown there has grown on the gravel that has layered it and then up and created more dirt, so we just couldn't detect it. That is part of the discovery. I've spoken with the JVBCC to work out some sort of volunteer work days, and that there is some capacity in the broader community for work days, clearing brush, digging down and excavating. So I think that might answer your question, Amy. Which I guess was.
Yes, thank you.
So if we say, yep, let's do this, so, and then we flash forward and 20 people show up with shovels and whatever tools are necessary, we start scraping at right where the mouse is, the left there, kind of beginning, the end of the Jerry Hill path, start scrape all the way down to the bushes. And then what happens when we get to the bushes? Does the select board need to say, like, we're gonna talk to the landowner, we want you to plow into those bushes and someone get a shovel and dig down a foot and see if there's a sidewalk there? Like, it sounds like we're the landowner. What's that? We're the landowner. Right, but right, I think legally we can do whatever we want, but I would wanna be thoughtful about, okay, so how much bush do we need to remove here? Can we leave a screen if we're walking up Raceway towards the market? Can we leave a screen there? Can we scrape this part, clear out that and leave a screen, or does it have to all go? Like, who's gonna be the one making that decision of, yeah, we're taking all these bushes out. We have the right to do it and we're choosing to do it, are kind of two different things. So do you have?
Well, we know the property owner would love them removed. We just don't know. We
Right.
haven't approached any of them, and I would want their acceptance of the project so that they didn't come out with their own shovels saying, what are you doing in my yard?
Right, exactly. That's my question, I guess.
Yeah.
Is if we say, yes, let's go ahead and do this, what does go ahead and do this mean? And I think that would be the first, my thought would be to talk to that, but to look and see what's going on there, decide what you'd like to do, and then talk to the landowner about.
But at least there's a lot that can be done even up to that point.
Yeah.
And the path's already there, so I'm hoping that those two houses, the first two on the left,
Yep.
are not gonna be offended, because right now they have a degraded asphalt path. It's not gonna be used by nefarious people. It's gonna be used by slow-moving people who probably don't drive and need to get to the market and the library, which is perfect, and they're already walking on the road, so I'm hoping that those two.
I would think those two would be like, great.
Yeah, I mean, it would probably enhance their property value to have an actual walkway rather than a partially buried piece of gravel here and there. But
I would think so.
And so for the scope of the grant, we would do as much work as we can clearing either with a mini loader that the road crew might support us with, or, double and digging things out of the dirt. And reserve ideally as much of the grant funds as possible for asphalt patching or some, it's gone through 40+ years of frost heaves. If there are cracks that make it unnavigable for people using walkers or wheelchairs.
Yeah, because that would be the important things to make it, because it would help Jerry Hill really nicely.
Yeah.
If it was
it
a
needs
nice.
to be wide enough, yeah.
And at the point that we reach the edge of the shrubbery and we either make the decision to go through with it, and I mean, ideally before that, we would actually get a deeper probe than a stick on the side of the road to
See what's going on.
And make the decision to either make it more feasible to get to that now wider turn. So people can get from what is lower than the road now.
Right.
But it used to be. back up to the road. Or if we find a path there and we get the approval to go forward and remove shrubbery, continue it as far as we can to the sidewalk. At which point we would need to stop, we would need to talk to the state, V-Trans about that, yes.
Where is the crosswalk to cross 15?
Cross 15 is where the white.
The white truck, right for the mountain.
Oh, yeah.
So you would need to cross the road.
Yep.
At that point, and a crosswalk across Raceway is 55 feet at this point with,
That's huge.
yeah,
It's.
very wide radius.
Cars cut that corner and encroach on that person's lawn and it gets wider and wider and wider.
Yeah, you can see the,
And then, yeah, so other than the asphalt, another target for the grant money would be supporting some earth moving of some capacity to make sure that when it does rain and water doesn't dissolve, it doesn't blow back, and there's no concern of ice buildup or, making it now more dangerous.
Impact,
Yeah.
yeah.
We don't want to flood the path, and we don't want to flood this person's yard.
So our job is to approve this.
Except the grant.
To accept the grant, from the
Okay.
AARP.
May I make a motion?
Go you. You did motion last week, now this week's gonna make a motion.
I make a motion that we accept the grant and proceed with the sidewalk unveiling on Raceway.
I like that, the word unveiling.
I will second that.
Oh,
All those in favor of accepting the grant?
I,
Aye. Amy?
I'm not loud enough.
Thank you. Thanks, Jack. We said yes this time.
Jesus.
That's the sign.
Oh.
Yep, so you'll, yes, and then just submit me a
How'd you
copy
put it
of the
away?
master. It has my name on
Oh, you signed it.
it. Yeah.
Right, next on the agenda is
Thanks,
to
Jack.
review and consider approval of the outside auditor's contract to Sullivan Powers and.
Yeah, so every year, just so Amy and Laura are caught up, every year we have to approve their our outside auditor's contract to do an audit on town funds and where we're at. So Sullivan Powers and Company, this is their second year with the town. So last year, their request for services was $24,500. This year, they're up $700, and the new cost is $25,200.
I certainly recommend them.
Mm-hmm.
They're very good.
So this is a question for the select board as I learn things more. How do we select our auditors? Is there a bid process that this goes out to? Did we look for someone slightly more local than Middlebury? How do we do it?
And I'm gonna defer to our treasurer,
Yeah.
to that question.
It was a bidding process for the independent audit contract, and Sullivan Powers was awarded the contract. They are the preeminent auditor of municipalities in the state, and they really do a terrific job.
And in fact, there are far less auditors doing
Yes.
municipalities than that's why the prices have gone up anyway.
Brought it up them.
There are not enough of them. In fact, Sullivan Powers moved away from doing larger ones to focus on municipalities because municipality ones quit doing them. And the RPC is now having the one, they had to go to a regional one, which has now been bought out by a national one,
It gets more expensive.
which is even more, you think this is expensive. Phew. But that's how it is. There's just less and less companies doing municipal services.
And speaking for myself, Amy, the report they gave us last year, I was happy with it, and they did a good job of explaining it and telling me at least, like, if you're only gonna read 3 pages of this, these are the 3 pages to read. They give you a big 100-page report.
And this happens once a year, come in.
Yeah, at the end of the fiscal year, at the end of June, they start coming in the fall, prepare it, and usually by January anyway, the audit is finished and that way you could say for town meeting that we have a clean audit, because we've had years and years of clean audits, which is what you really want to have.
That's what you really, that's right.
That's what gets us good loan rates at the bond bank and that type of thing. Basically, Brian tells us that it's important. Catherine agrees with him, so.
So I want to recommend we approve the contract to Sullivan Powers and Company to be our outside auditors for another year.
Is that a motion?
Yes, please.
I would second that.
All those in favor, say aye.
You all
Aye.
have to sign it. You all have to sign it.
We all have signed.
All have to
We need an auto pen for Amy.
Oh, right.
I just signed yours, it's cool. I'm just kidding.
As we're talking about fraud, that's exactly what we want to do.
Right.
Amy, are you in town next week?
I will come in and see you. How about Thursday?
Next Thursday?
Yes, ma'am.
That sounds great.
Okay, next one is a treasurer type thing too. Review and consider approval of the tax rate set for FY 26. We presenting this with Brian or is Amy Morse?
I think we can both speak to it. It's, I think it's fairly straightforward and you have the information in your packet.
We have an update
You
though.
have an updated one in your packet.
You have an updated one. in your
Yep.
packet.
Yes.
And in one sense, it's fairly, the process is fairly simple, but it does get to be a little tricky. I'm not sure if you want me to walk through the detailed calculation, but in general, what we do is just basically take the dollar amount to be raised by taxes and simply divide it by the grand list. That's the easy, quick and dirty way that we arrive at the tax rate. The couple of twists that are involved are that the town, like many other towns, offers exemptions and reductions in taxes for veterans, for example. And there is some exempted property that, again, the town at town meeting exempts the taxation of the property. Well, when we exempt it from taxation or a reduction in, for veterans, for example, the slight reduction, the town does have to make up the taxes that are owed to the school districts, the school district that we pay. So part of this calculation, and that's if you have this sheet, and I won't go through it in total detail, but the point is that for the taxes that we exempt, we have to pay the schools, so we need to add that back to the taxes to be collected through the assessment. And again, when we add that back in and we take the divide by the grand list, and we come up with the tax rate. And the tax rate for the local, what's called the local agreement rate, that's the amount to be raised for the school taxes that we pay. That's $30,930. That's the bottom number that you see underneath number 2. And I'm trying to get through this without reading through it.
Wait, and what is that number? I'm sorry?
Yep.
Now, I see the number, but what is it?
That's what the town taxpayers must pay because we've exempted or reduced the tax. Yeah. So that's 30,000 in addition to the $3,608,711, which was voted at I guess I'll call it at town meeting through the approval process. So that arrives. Those are the largest components. But remember too, we have to collect the taxes for the fire department. We need to collect the taxes for the Rawson Library. And those, again, to make up the tax rate, we need to add that into the tax rate to be assessed to the town. So let me go back. I'm under number 2, under the fire department. Now that 573,151 to be raised at the 0.08 rate, that's a separate piece on the tax bills that everyone gets. You'll see basically 4 different components, actually 5 different components in everyone's tax bill. The first relates to the fire department, and that comes up to be the 573, that's a tax rate of 0.08. The old red mill, the conservation reserve fund, those 2 were approved by the town as an add-on rate to be paid to the old red mill and the conservation reserve fund. And then again, the Rawson Library, was agreed, it's a separate tax district. The $221,000 needs to be included in our tax rate. We get the money and pay it right over to the library and right over to the fire department, and the Conservation Reserve Fund and Old Red Mill. The total of those 4 components is 0.1193. We add that to the rate that's, we need to collect the $3.6 million to cover our budgeted taxes. That's the 0.5072. And the first thing I spoke about, the local agreement rate, is the 0.0043. Total municipal tax rate then is 0.6309. I'm sorry it took so long. There's a lot of detail. It's just too much fun to ignore the detail.
I have 2 questions about that.
Yeah.
So under number 2, you've got A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
And am I right that A and D are a flat amount of money that drives the rate, and B and C are just an agreed upon rate,
Exactly.
and they are whatever they are?
Correct. Yeah. So this year's tax rate is 0.6309. Last year's was 0.5408. Again, the municipal part of it. So that's about what, 17.4% or so rate increase. I think it's also helpful to note, just to go back and quickly mention, that the largest half of that tax rate increase from last year to this year did relate to the repayment of the first payment of the municipal garage. That payment, was about $320,000. That's what.
Mm-hmm.
And that number may ring a bell with most of us, but that was a significant increase, and we knew that, but that's, we needed to build it as well. That was the largest part of the increase. And some of you may remember that the second largest part of the increase was the instituting or reinstatement of the paving of the roads, and that was about $138,000. There was some other components as well. The $30,000, that was the additional add-on for traffic calming, another chunk of that. So, and I think we've gone through the detail of what the components are of the increase. We've done that previously, but those are the larger amounts, the reasons for the larger increase that we've had.
So in other words, we went through that whole budget process, and now you're looking for us to actually fund that budget that we approved.
Actually paid
over
the bill.
6 months.
Yeah.
Again, the total amount to be raised is the $3,608,711, which allows us to end up with a balance of 0 if everything is right on target, right on budget. So that was the need. This is the rate.
And you said what we have in our packet is off.
So you'll need to,
That one.
Without getting too mathy, can you tell me why the non-homestead went down and the homestead went up? You just say that?
No,
No. I
it's
didn't-
because we talked about it,
So
so.
I didn't speak to that, Peter, because that's sort of beyond our control. And that's given by the state. That's, the state sets the rates, and they set the rate for all 260 towns in the state of Vermont. And, yeah, and it's interesting because if you look at that long list, you'll see some rates went up and some went down. I think the biggest variance, although I never claimed as being anywhere close to an expert in this, but a lot of the reason for the different rates from town to town is the common level of appraisal.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
if everyone were at
Yeah, yeah.
100%, the rates would be.
Drive your tax rate different, yep. Okay. Do you want a motion?
You'll have to read each one though.
What?
As one separate one, and
Each
do
one
one
separate.
motion?
You can read the motion. but
Do you do
don't-
one big motion for all of them?
On this, that's highlighted, so the general fund tax rate is
So
this.
I would make a motion to approve a FY 26 general fund tax rate of 0.5072. An FY 26 local agreement tax rate of 0.0043. An FY 26 Underhill Jericho Fire Department tax rate of 0.0806. And an FY 26 Deborah Rawson Library rate of 0.0311. And I would also continue the 3% late filed homestead declaration penalty.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Very much, Brian.
Motion passes. Thank you, Brian.
Amy.
Amy?
Can't hear me, aye. Where's
I
the
thought I
timer?
heard
And thank you, Amy Morse.
Hey, thank you.
Hey, you stayed a long time.
No worries. Have a good night.
Same to you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next on the agenda is review and consider approval of the budget timeline for FY 27.
Yeah, and I don't know if you really need to approve it. I think just going through and
Yes.
looking at the
Maybe I should
budget
share it,
process.
but I don't know that I actually have the latest. Did you email the latest?
It should be in that packet.
Today at 9:09 AM.
Oh, really?
That wasn't the one where you
Thank you.
said, please use this one, not the one.
Yeah, that's the one,
Yeah, I
yes.
think I got that.
The one at 9:09 AM says I've attached an updated version
Yep.
of the budget.
Yeah, I don't think we need to approve it.
Right,
I
right.
think it's
Just-
important to
But
discuss
Just
it.
look it over and make sure it
Yes,
makes sense. for
yes,
that whole plan,
exactly.
basically.
Right, because because you don't, you're
There's
not
nothing-
guaranteed that, you know,
Yes,
the highway's gonna be
exactly.
able to come into the
Right.
state, or this is gonna happen, but
Yep,
you don't wanna be, constrained then, so you wanna be able to be flexible if outside agencies are ready on the 20th of
Yep.
November,
they
then
want to
hey,
be able to move them around.
exactly.
Yes.
I was a little surprised when the town meeting reimagine ended up with as early, but their idea was that they wanted to do that, so in case somebody wanted to be able to do a public question that night. But I think, to me, I'll have to talk to Jessica, but
Are you talking about the 20th?
No.
20th?
no,
The
they
actual
wanted to,
meeting itself you're talking about?
yeah, the tax
January
What we're talking about,
Yeah,
the
15.
document.
is, yeah, it's on the 15th. They want to do it because they thought you could do a public question, but I think that the deadline is 5:30 and not midnight.
Oh, yeah, I believe there is a time frame on that.
Yeah,
For
because
the
it is
public
on,
question.
I think that's the public question deadline, but I think it was always been, it seems to me it was always 5:30 that they had to have it in.
What's the deadline for public
Public questions,
questions?
the 15th. And that's why they thought maybe they'd do it that date in case somebody wanted to run around that night and collect signatures or something like that.
But what happens if we're 24 hours late with that? Like, we really can't do it?
No,
Jessica
the state said,
Yeah,
it is, it's state.
So why does it say second date of January 20th? And that's too late.
no, their first choice is January 15th. Their second choice is January 20th.
And if we did it on the 20th, then they couldn't do a public question that night.
I would have to, like she said, I would have to ask Jessica to find out what
Because
the deadline is.
You think it's like end of business, like 5:30.
Right,
not
right.
midnight.
And if
Exactly.
that's the case, then the 20th would fit our schedule much better because then you're more likely to have everything ready and cleaned up and then It all depends on when, it's always between the 22nd, 3rd, something like that, that you can, that's your first date to warn the warning. Because it's always nice then to be able to do that at the same time.
Yeah, because we talked about, in some of our discussions, we talked about having, before we get to this meeting, we have some sort of
Yes.
agreement amongst the select board.
Exactly.
Where when a vote comes up on the floor, we have some guidelines that we use to say, okay, there seems to be enough of a question about this particular suggestion, we need to do that as
Australian ballot.
Australian ballot. And so are you
Yes.
saying that we wouldn't be able to do that if we did it on the 20th?
Oh, no, you still could on the 20th, I mean, because the warning, the first time you are allowed to actually warn your ballot, the town meeting warning, it's somewhere around the 20-something or other.
Yeah.
So what was the thing that had the deadline?
The public questions,
Like what? Give an example.
shall we have a 5-member select board is a public question. Or shall we go to Australian ballot was a public question.
But
That's
but
exactly
a
what
public
we're-
question isn't, shall we spend 45 grand on a year in the library? Like, that's not.
Yes, that is a question.
That is also a public question.
I'm not getting, I
And if we
I never got
and
this
if we
last
decide,
year
and if we
either.
decide to ask that question, we decide to ask, do you want us to, should we spend $40,000 annually for the town library? That has to be in by January 15th at 5 o'clock or.
But what if it came up on the floor?
But-
So if it came up on the floor and they said, I want to add 200 grand, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
You're saying we could?
No.
Why
I
not?
guess we would need to get the dates from Jessica.
Yeah, the
as
dates
to
are the
when
very important
public-
thing.
Public questions need to be,
If it came from the floor, that is a very specific timeline. And
It can't be
because it
this
has
is
to
made
have
up-
a.
this
it's a
whole
petition.
thing is a made up
It
thing.
has to be a petition, it has to be 5% of the voters for public questions.
If Jessica Diane stands up and says, I want to make a public question to add $10,000 to the budget for knitting.
Yep.
And no one has given notice, I have no, or $100,000 for knitting.
Knitting
Then
supplies.
but I don't have a petition signed by anybody, we can say, yeah, we're not doing that.
Right.
But if she has a petition signed by 5% of the people, then we have to move forward with that.
And so the petition version of your little made up story.
Yep.
Has to be in by the 15th.
something like
Something
that.
like that.
That's not, yeah.
Or by some date.
We're assuming it's around the 15th.
Right,
But the first version of like, hey,
You
did
just
I get
stand up.
10 grand?
right.
That is up
Does
to
it?
you.
That's us.
That's up to us. That's like
Because of
Bernie with his, that's Bernie with his $30,000 last year.
Yeah.
And at that moment, we can vote it from the floor. We're in charge at that moment. We can do whatever we want. We can say, you guys, let's vote on it. We'll honor that. It was too close. We're gonna decide to make an Australian ballot.
So yeah, to that, which I think your question is if you guys are, say, the 15th, you're doing town meeting reimagine, someone says, oh, I want 50,000 added. You guys say no. It doesn't give that person time enough to get a petition to be put on the ballot.
Right.
So then,
But the
we
idea
could
is
put it
all,
on a
is
warning.
that they have time. The idea for that scenario is that we really encourage people to bring this to us throughout the budget season.
sure.
Or,
Widely published.
or start, I mean,
But
that's
right.
the whole point of the kickoff is to start this
Right,
discussion.
to bring it up here.
Yes, yeah.
But I'm still probably just being obtuse that I don't understand the difference.
I think I got enough
You're
for you.
not being obtuse.
Okay.
I think I might have it for you. Let's take money out of it.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion that everyone in Jericho must wear a gray shirt on Tuesdays.
Yep.
That's a
Okay?
public question.
So that's a public question. And
We
so
don't have the ability at that,
at that meeting, depending what the timeline is.
Right.
We could say, wow, that's a really good idea. We as a select board want to put that on the Australian ballot.
We-
Okay.
But there's a deadline by which we have to say that.
Okay,
And that might be January 15th at 5 PM or midnight or something else.
so I get that. And so if we have the meeting and it's after that deadline,
Then
that's not an option for this year.
correct. That's my understanding. Yes.
But the
But if
trick-
you said, I want 5 grand in order to fund buying gray shirts for everybody,
The select board could choose to.
we could choose to put that on there, and for some reason, that's not too late.
Right, because it's a select board.
even if we were after the date.
Because it's a select
Right,
board
because
and it's a
we could do
budget.
the
item.
gray shirt. We could do the gray shirt. If someone said, I want gray shirts to be mandatory, we could say, yep, that makes sense. We're gonna put that in the ballot.
Because the select board, it's.
Because we're deciding to do that.
You mean not on the ballot, but in the budget?
Or both.
No, I was
Because-
saying on the ballot.
Because the select board has the choice of, because we're trying to put something on the ballot. And the select board has more flexibility than the public questions. The public does. The public must have a 5% or 10% or 15%.
The select board does not.
Select board does not.
Mhm.
We're not bound by that specific timeline.
Now I'm getting a little tied in knot to her.
Oh,
I don't think there's a difference.
I actually think I could add it, but I would never want to repeat
Could you
it.
say it? Could you say it?
No, no.
I don't think there's a difference.
No, but-
Because at this meeting technically
It's a
doesn't
made-up meeting.
doesn't legally exist. It's
Right.
just a fancy
Select
select
board
board
meeting.
meeting.
We're making up the rules.
But we would have,
Hold on, let him finish his.
I'm sorry,
And so,
I should say that.
and for this scenario, I'm imagining that the meeting is after this deadline.
Yep.
What if we decide, wow, that's a really good idea. The whole select board loves it.
We could
We
do
want
it.
to do gray shirts on Tuesdays.
We could do that. Or gray shirts on Thursdays.
So then the deadline doesn't matter.
But
No, because if someone comes with a petition,
If they force us.
if they want to force us, there's a deadline for that. If they say we have 15% of the, or we have whatever, 5%, whatever, saying gray shirts on Tuesdays, we say, oh, well, you had to have it here yesterday. It's too
Yes.
late
Exactly.
Because we don't agree.
because we don't agree with it. If they turn it in
Okay.
on Wednesday before the meeting, or whatever, before the deadline, and we don't like it, it doesn't matter. We have to put it on the ballot
Mhm.
because they met the
Doesn't it
deadline.
seem silly? The whole point of this meeting is us having this pretend town meeting that's really just a select board meeting and us agreeing mostly within
Yep,
some
within-
some
yep.
bounds to say, we're gonna listen to the voters. And so if everyone in that room says
Gray shirts on
gray
Thursday.
shirts on Tuesdays, and we're like, that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard, but we all agreed that we're gonna take
We
the
don't have
voice
to,
of this.
you don't have to do it.
No,
I don't, now that you say it, yeah, when it's just one person saying this, they shouldn't get in the ballot, but I agree that everybody, if 300 people or 150 people are there, and they say we want gray shirts on Tuesdays, and then Dave Barrington has a vote, and it passes 98-2,
that question can go on the ballot.
then
You-
we can say, yep, we'll put that on the ballot.
Or you could say no.
Do we know that for sure?
Yeah,
You-
because
you-
that's the select board, we can do whatever we want, it's a select board.
And you have to,
Deadline's different for us.
Okay.
in fact, it's even,
Then in that case,
yeah,
I propose that we don't worry about that deadline for the 15th, and if we like the 20th better, we just do it.
yeah.
So you want to do it on the 20th?
I'm
think the 20th
proposing, I'm not saying doing it because I think
It's much
barely
better for
understanding
the
it.
town.
I do too. The 15th is a select board meeting anyways. So maybe that's just kind of catching up on just the last bit of anything.
Anything.
Yeah, I'm not saying, I guess I'm not saying that I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
the difference.
No,
between
right.
That's why people
I'm just
wanted,
saying-
that's why at the very end last year, people wanted the select board to do it because it's an end run around the petition process.
Say that again?
Yes, I get it. She's saying because we have that ability, they wanna skip doing the
Oh, don't do
15
the
or
hard work.
5%
Right.
and go, what if I just get like
If I can get them-
18 people
Get enough
to show
people in
up
the
to the meeting
room.
and
I
force
get-
the select board to do it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
And that's why
so
public
that's
questions
interesting.
and the select, 5% is the typical thing for petitions, based on VLCT information. But the select board does not necessarily have to accept it.
Right.
What we have said in the past, way back with other select boards, and you don't have to pay attention what other select boards did. I mean.
You mean other Jericho select boards?
Other Jericho select boards said, if you actually do the work and come in with a 10% petition, we'll accept it and put it on the ballot.
I thought that was a lot, I thought that was not a just, we've decided.
10% usually applies to things that are not town business. 5% is usually something that's really strictly town business. 10% is when,
No, I understand that, like nuclear war, nuclear armored nuclear.
Yeah. And
But I thought I thought 10% was, it wasn't like, oh, we made that up. I thought it was like.
no, we
100%.
made it up. Well, 10% is, I mean, sometimes use 10%, but that was a rule that early select boards
But
had.
that isn't, that isn't a Jericho statute.
No, the 15% was a statute.
That's in the charter.
That was in the charter.
Okay. So yeah, I guess what I'm saying is we don't worry about scheduling TMRI around that date that
No.
Jessica has,
Right.
based on my very recent understanding of it.
And maybe Paul and checks with Jessica and make sure that our understanding, that we aren't handcuffing ourselves because we didn't realize whatever that Jessica understands.
Right, one more time, not to keep beating this dead horse, but so now imagine a very real scenario. Library board wants a $200,000 bond to be considered. And
They can't have a bond.
well,
They could have, they could actually,
a 4.9-year loan. They
Right.
want a 4.9-year loan.
they could do that because a bond requires very specific.
Sure, but like,
Timeline.
they want 200,000
They
over
want
the
to
next
add
4 years.
Okay, yep.
They want 50 grand a year, and that comes up in that meeting. And the whole room says, or it's one of the scenarios like we talked about. It's like, all right, you got 30 yeses and you got 20 nos. Select board is really concerned about adding that much with that short of a distance.
Right.
We have that ability to say, this is going to the
Yes.
ballot.
And that brings you to the next page in that document.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep,
And I think we should maybe ahead of time, and that document is just
notes.
this is like
Yes, it's not,
Paula wrote something and then I wrote like
Exactly.
something else. There's
Yes.
nothing official at all. It's
No.
just like literal ideas being
yes,
written down.
exactly,
But we should probably decide on some numbers there so we don't have.
yes.
Yeah, I don't want to decide today, but I think it's our
Before
job.
we get too far, we want to know ahead of
Throughout
time.
the budget
And
process.
maybe even say that, like,
We need to
Yes.
say,
anything above this amount,
Right.
or this is the breakout of votes. I don't know, but we need to.
Yeah, we need to
think about how we're gonna,
because otherwise if we say 30 grand, they'll be like,
29,000 doing.
right, like,
And I think,
But if people are playing,
Have some
but if
rough
people are playing games, we can say like, no, you're not gonna dodge by $1.
Right.
that's true.
Yeah.
Because it's
Well,
still a meeting at the end of the day.
and clearly, the library has to start educating the public at the kickoff meeting at the very
Right.
beginning.
Right.
Because,
Right, and in their case, I said it's a real scenario, but hopefully we figured that out before that.
Right,
We come to some sort of thing, or whatever. But it could be something very similar to that.
Somebody else from the old mill might show up and say, hey, run to this
Yeah.
thing.
Okay,
yeah, because they say, well, we need 30,000, we need 85,000 for the foundation. And we only have, 45,000 in the fund for them.
Amy and Laura, do you guys understand what town meeting reimagined is and how it's not really, the people have no power whatsoever? We give them all the power
Yes.
to try to preserve town meeting and direct democracy.
Amy was there last year.
I was there too.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah.
there you go.
That's terrific. That's really good.
Next, there's no motion there,
No,
right?
no,
It's just
no,
discussion.
Yeah.
Okay. Next is approve the committee handbook.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys took a look at it, if you guys have any, I know Peter broke it out, which was, I thought, great.
Yeah,
We all
because-
thought that was really
Right,
nice
because
to do.
you're not gonna get an ordinary committee person to read this. This
Yeah, I
is-
would
this
never
is-
join a committee.
This is a
Yeah.
heavy, we don't,
But it's
fact,
more, it's
there
more
was one like this that
resources.
they were one like this that they tried to give to the committee at the board, at the RPC board. And they always said, because of the new code of conduct and everything, and the board said, you're not gonna get anybody to read this.
Right.
You better
No,
shorten it.
I think
And it shortened it even.
this is the committee for all the committee members. This is for the chair for resources, if they need any, if they have any questions, they can go to it.
Good, because this is really, significant, because people, we're working our way through the, just to prove that, because we have to sign it for the RPC now at the next meeting to say that you read it, just like this one.
Yeah.
However, I do have a thing that we need to change on this little thing here.
Yeah.
Under, what,
Probably in the packet, probably in the packet.
yes,
What
8,000
page?
page packet.
yeah.
What page is it?
This is page 4. And it talks, and it's under the comment on what happens if I move out of town. And it says per Vermont State statute, members of the Conservation Commission, Planning Commission, Development Review Board must reside in Jericho. That is not correct. 24 VSA 4322. Only a majority of the PC needs to be residents of the municipality.
That's a good catch.
That is a good catch. Now, can you say, what was it again?
H4.
Page 4, under what happens if I move out of
Yes.
town, it's the
What's
planning commission, it's 24 VSA 4322.
VSA, what is it?
4322.
4322, a majority.
Yeah, at least a majority of the PC shall be residents of a municipality. I
But the
mean,
Conservation Commission and the Development Review Board must reside in Jericho?
yes.
So there's two separate things there.
Yeah.
If you're on the DRB and the planning and the Conservation Commission, you must be a resident. If you're on the Planning Commission, you can be out of town, but you only less than half of you.
Oh, okay, so conservation and DRB,
You must be a resident.
you must be.
Yeah, conservation truly is a Jericho.
Planning
But it's
Commission alone.
Is the 24
one that's half,
VSA,
is the
yeah,
one that's
okay,
half.
yeah.
Why would a non-resident want to be on?
On the planning commission, it's if it's right over the border or something like that, or if they have a skill set that you really like.
Or if they have some vision for the future of this, if they're like a major landowner, but don't live here and have a vision for the future of whatever.
But right, they could be a landowner and not own. That happens.
Right.
Okay,
Or used to live here and we're really engaged with the
Right.
community. and
Love
they're in the middle of a
Jericho.
big project.
Live in
and-
Florida now and started the wastewater project and want to see it through. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I mean,
So my recollection of this committee handbook was, we were looking to pass it, and then Peter said, can I work with Paula? Is this the result?
Yes,
of
this is it. Yep.
so this is
Yep.
the result, because
Yep.
this was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
A lot of work though. Thank you for.
Yeah, Linda did a majority of this, Linda, and then Megan added to it too, so.
Well, and I was, if you read it, it is very, very much legalese.
There's a lot of VLCT bump,
Yep.
not
Yep.
bump, but just like.
Yep.
And a lot of stuff that a lot of towns, yeah, you know, it's almost too legal. Cause
Yes.
I've been on, and, you know, in terms of even how you go into executive session. Cause,
Like, who cares about that besides the committee chair?
right,
Right,
Nobody else cares.
right, exactly.
Eric has to know how to do that, and
Yeah.
the rest of us just go along with it.
well, in fact, it's, you know, it's actually much more formal than even we do. In fact, it's much more formal than the RPC does for executive session.
Yeah.
But I've been at a smaller committee meeting where there was a person who was a real parliamentarian. And boy, I tell you, that person had those things right down to the minute of what you had to have. And so, but it really, the important thing is why you're going into it, who's going to be with you, and you must meet the criteria to go into it.
Yep. Okay, do we need a motion for this, or do we
Yes,
just need to
Yes,
sign?
please, and you'll need to sign.
You should
these
let
two
Peter do that
forms
since
also.
he.
Unless Amy wants to, she hasn't done a motion yet, or
Oh.
if you have more questions, Amy.
Oh, yeah.
No more questions. I'll have a motion to vote.
Okay, so the motion will be, the motion will say something like, motion to approve the committee handbook.
Motion to approve the committee handbook. Sounds good to me.
Excellent.
I'll second.
Oh, the coup has begun. All those in favor say aye.
That's terrific.
Thank you.
That's terrific.
You want me to sign both these things?
Yep, because they're for two different,
We're all right, chair.
and just pass it down the line.
All right. Oh my gosh, long agenda. How did we only have one thing last
I
week?
know, right? It's just popped up.
Next on the agenda is review and consider approval of request to cater. Peter, you want to knock these out for us?
I'm down on page 179.
You want to read it?
Sure, review, but I would make a motion to approve. Request to cater at Mansfield Barn for waterfront yogurt and sandwiches on July 26th, 2025. And at Mansfield Barn, Griffin Riders on August 23rd, 2025.
I'll second that.
Catherine,
All those in favor?
Aye.
can you sign those, Catherine, and pass them down?
Okay.
We have to approve liquor licenses for like one-off places.
Because the select board acts as a liquor control board. That's just another statute.
Well, we do like their annual ones, like those are like a little more coordinated and we know those are coming and then these are just sort of one-off events, yeah.
Weddings and stuff.
Okay,
There's two of them there, Catherine.
Oh, there is,
Yeah.
yeah, I see that.
we are at select board updates.
I have a few.
Go ahead, Catherine.
All right, just so you know, that this is a new show and it's called Trails and Pathways. And it runs through the end of September and probably the end of August, we will have a reception for the artists. And I brought my notes from the RPC last night. I mean, Peter showed up for one of the trainings, but we actually had a regular meeting and I gotta summarize. And there is no August meeting, but they are finishing up the future land use map. They have some of them. There's still some work with needing for the Burlington map, but there were some towns in our area that I decided not to do tier 1B, and they've changed over rural conservation and.
Underhill was one of them.
Yeah, and so what they're doing is
Why are they not doing it?
The select board passed, and they said no.
What's, you know, what their thought pattern is, what their.
No, but there's a lot of work, I mean. But what's interesting is that, because they've now moved over rural ag and forestry and parcels to rural conservation, there's much more conserved land, including in the middle of the cities where there might be a park or something that's conserved land that's now going to be considered conservation land. Because where there's partial or you have the areas where the development rights have been moved and stuff. So that's all becoming conserved parcels. Or called rural conservation. And they've added some crosshatching to the floodplain and river things. But what's going to happen is the long range planning commission is going to get the final updates in September. And then it's going to go to the full review in later that month, probably October. But what's going to happen first, it's going to go to in September or early October, it'll go to the brand new land use review board. It's the professional group that usually do Act 250. And they'll look at the land use map and give some updates to it. And then it'll come back to the RPC. They'll make the changes and then it all starts the whole line of processing those plans starting in 2020. So it's really quite exciting, but they've done the mapping. And they've taken into account public comments and they're gonna move on. Right. So it's, but the conserved land is the thing that they're working on now.
Anyone else have select board updates?
I do. I have a couple. A gentleman reached out to us about the elm tree at the pull-off right here above Jericho, JCAT here. And he lives in Jericho, but he's an arborist and was wondering how that tree could be treated for Dutch elm disease. And he's been talking with Don Tovey about it. And
I think it was treated a good many years ago with.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it was treated, probably a long time ago.
Don said that it can be treated again. However, there is an amount on here.
Yeah, it's gonna be costly.
Yeah, it is costly. So he wanted me to bring it to your attention to find out what, if anything, you would like him to do.
Well, it is the town tree.
Which tree is it?
At that pull-off right up here.
Although AOT
So the
says
police
it's
hang
their
out
tree.
sometimes, on the top of the hill, where you come down towards JCAT.
Coming from Essex before.
Coming from Essex, before you JCAT, go up a hill, there's a big a sliding hill off to the right there.
Yeah.
A huge tree right there, which is the Jericho town tree.
Right.
I've been made it.
It's one of the few Dutch elms that have survived so far.
Yeah.
Right. So
If there's a number, then it probably should come to a meeting, unless it's less than $5,000.
I believe it is less than $5,000. I want to say 1,500, but
Oh, if that's the case, then I mean, that's up to you.
okay.
If
But
you
you're
got,
welcome to ask us for guidance.
Okay, never mind.
you're welcome to ask us for guidance, but you're right, but you can always ask for guidance, but you know,
Yeah,
but you know, since it is a town tree, I mean, clearly.
right.
And if you got money in the budget to find for something.
I'm just curious, like, what is a treatment? Is this something they inject into the tree or something?
Yeah, so John said, there is a treatment for it. Say it right away.
Because they really ought to use, you know,
They want to wait till October. It's infected. They'd rather. I agree about waiting for until October. There's branches that are infected.
does he think he thinks it's infected now?
Yeah, but he says he thinks he can remove the branches.
Well, because for a long time it hasn't been, so it's been too long then since it's been treated.
Right.
Because
You have to
the
treat
key
them for like 2 years with the fungicide to keep them away. So if it's been more than that, Catherine, then yeah, well, we would have to retreat.
Yeah.
Yeah, because clearly, it's survived this long with just intermittent treatment that the genetics are such that they maybe want to look at it anyway, because they're trying to create a tree that will resist.
Yeah.
Cool.
The other thing that I have is, just reading, yeah, injecting some of the stems, it says. The other thing that I have is from, I just wanted to give you an update on the highway garage. Everything is looking good. They're waiting still for the cement to be delivered to pour the foundation floor. But everything else seems to be going well, and I just wanted
Is
to.
that late?
Yeah, they were supposed to be there already by, I think, this past Monday, and they're still not there yet.
Well, that's something.
Yeah, but we are still under budget. We're $100,000 under budget.
And just so people are aware, I do go to most of those meetings. There's a meeting like every couple of weeks.
Every week now. We just had.
I go to every other meeting. There was one today. Oh, I didn't know that.
It's now every week. We are now every week.
Anyway, I try to represent
Yes.
the town, and mostly try to be Google. They're doing a great job. They're very organized. They walk us through stuff.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, they're doing very
The
well.
last one I went to was all about the radios. So we're like, we thought we could just move the radio tower from the old building to the new building, but because of the age of that radio tower, that they didn't
They have to
advise that,
purchase
so we
new.
probably will have to do a little bit more.
Well, the good news is if we're running under budget, then that's something that, you know, obviously.
I'd still like to stay.
I know, but at least
I'd still like to stay.
you want to stay under budget, but at least, you know, there's
Yeah,
a little
I've
flexibility.
been really picky with Matt. I've been like, I need to stay under budget.
Yeah. The budget was high enough.
Yeah, it was, I had.
A $4 million building, $100,000 is not a lot. Like,
Right.
we didn't like buy we got a whole bunch of wiggle room now. It's
No,
Exactly. It's,
Oh, I forgot to mention, people I've had several people from Nashville contact me and said they really like the job ECI did.
yeah, we've had a few people call and say they
On
love
the apron,
that
and they
apron.
are especially thrilled that that big pothole's gone.
Yep, fog lines and double yellow lines.
Oh, but nice job, nice job.
Too.
And they also, the other folks that contacted me also wanted to thank the road crew for how nice they've been able to keep up Nashville itself.
They've been out there a lot working
Oh,
quite
yeah.
a bit. Well, for the MRGP too,
Yeah.
they've done some.
Yeah, because they did some more ditching.
Yep. Also, just a heads up, and I haven't sent an email out to Gravel, but we went out to Gravel today and they're gonna be putting stakes out there as to where the hammerhead's gonna go.
Well, that's good.
Yes.
At least that's moving forward.
The one update that I have that I can think of, is Chuck made a good point over email about minutes. And I guess I haven't spent much time looking at other towns' minutes, but the point that he made was he was talking about the joint select board, planning commission meeting and the minutes for that, and how we mostly spent that meeting talking about a priority list, and we had, you know, we had a PowerPoint.
Mhm.
And so then when we post those minutes, the PowerPoint isn't there. And those minutes kind of become like, okay, you can read the minutes, but unless you watch the video, you're
Right,
not
you
getting
don't
much.
have the
And so
PowerPoint.
I haven't exactly envisioned how that should look, or if it could just be an attachment, but
Mhm.
I think
I
an
think
attachment.
it's worth thinking about. Like, I don't want to look, like when I'm reviewing the minutes to approve them, I absolutely do not want 17.
Oh, yeah, for
pages.
sure.
But
You would have
if
not
at the
liked.
bottom, you had a link to like, here's what was shared or something, like that might be pretty useful.
See, that's what will be good with,
With the new.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll just be taken care of then.
yes, it'll all be there on that one click.
Okay, all right, cool.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully,
That's what it looks
right,
like.
exactly, yes.
Okay, that's all I asked.
That is a
That's
good
good.
point, though.
Peter?
I had just a couple of questions. Where are things at? This is not really for, I mean, you're welcome to answer, but more of the board question, like with a capital plan. I feel like none of us are sort of spearheading that. And I mean, Paul is collecting a whole bunch, doing the kind of the staff work. But in terms of like, how are we gonna begin that process? And is someone gonna take the point on it? And what are people's thoughts on that? Maybe this should be a topic for discussion, like a board meet, like a.
Yeah,
agenda item.
Chris Shaheen and I have talked a little bit, and I've showed him what I've started to create. And we're gonna work off that. What I think our recommendation is, and Chris Shaheen is on the same page as myself, is I think at the next joint select board meeting with the planning commission is to guide them. They're looking for an answer. They're looking for the select board to say, you guys go get the projects and the estimated funds, and then you bring them back and we incorporate them and find out what's your priorities, how you want this to work in the capital plan. So I think at that next meeting is to say, okay, planning commission, you go tell us what your projects are or what's in the town plan. Go get the estimated amounts of funding, figure, whatever it's gonna cost for that project. Come back, we incorporate it into that capital plan. And then we pick whatever you all pick and choose as to what's
You can't do
priority.
everything.
Correct. That's what we're thinking.
But the interesting thing is that we used to, early on, I mean, because there probably is a record of the training we had for capital budgeting, because Todd did capital budgeting. And then, because we started off the capital improvement plan. And then we went, then every year the capital budget was a extension of capital improvement plan, because you moved a year.
Correct.
Because you're always moving that 5 years out, because even the VLCT is just a 5-year window.
Yes. Yeah. 5 years.
And then, so then and then what we did for the highway was initially, when Bob Penman was here, we threw a couple cents extra on the millage of the budget to add money to the road budget, because there just wasn't enough for what needed to be done. But then that fell off because of, what was it, one of the big bubbles that crashed. Oh yeah, the big recession.
So
And then what we did this, when Todd moved in, is we upped the number month that was yearly. It was 100 and some thousand. And then eventually we jumped it to 250,000. So that's your baseline, but it will fluctuate a bit depending on whether you get structured, the paving grant. But for the highway, there was a standard number for that as well, where some years you're putting money into the truck, the highway equipment fund, and other years you're taking it out. So sometimes it's drawn down to only like 50,000, even less. Other years, it might be 200 or 300,000 because you're building it up to be able to pay for, another.
I also let Brian know as well, because I really think he should be
Oh,
a
absolutely.
key factor in this. And he said he would, he would meet with, like, maybe Susan, myself, one of you guys, and then kind of get an idea so he can get a sense as well to follow through with all of this as
Yeah,
well. So,
and then all that seemed to fade away after, COVID put a kink in it, and then when Todd left, things just shifted a bit, shall we say.
So that's what I was thinking. So what you just said, Paul, about Susan, one of us, you, Brian, maybe Christine,
Yeah.
whatever.
yeah,
Just to have some group that
Yeah.
has a significant,
yes,
of which the select board has to be a part of that, I feel like.
Oh,
To
absolutely.
be driving like, hey, here's the vision the select board has financially, and let's lay this out so we can make this work
Yes.
over a number of years. I literally don't want to do that. I'm willing to do that. Honestly, Amy, I was thinking that you might be good at that. I'm not sure what your bandwidth is. To
That's right,
sort of,
Pete,
to
because-
sort of be sort of the select board voice on just figuring out how to put together a capital, I don't know, plan or budget or whatever the word is for it, but
It's both, because it's a capital improvement plan and then a capital budget based on the capital improvement plan.
Yeah, I can absolutely take that on. I should have enough bandwidth for it, just to, I want to make sure I'm keeping within the town confines, and I may ask for town treasurer and Paula help on legality and stuff, but of course.
sure, okay.
and you can obviously talk to any of it. I don't mean to like voice that on you, but it seemed like you have some experience with that.
Yeah, talking about budget, when she talked about $1 billion
Right.
project.
I am putting together one for a client now, so it's top of mind for me.
Great, just cut and paste theirs and
Oh, it's fine. They have a couple more zeros than we do, but it's still the same.
okay, never mind, don't do that.
Well, thing is, as you said, the select board has to be, because no matter how much the planning commission wants to do, it's still an advisory committee. It's the,
Right, the select board are the deciders.
the select board has to be the one making the final decisions.
And was the capital plan, capital budget, capital improvement, we're talking about just related to the planning commission?
No,
No,
the whole town.
whole
So
town.
like something like the library repairs?
Oh, yeah, because
Is
when you
it capital?
actually,
Would be a capital
Yep.
Yeah, the first step,
Ideally, you're thinking a little further ahead than waiting until it's, right?
yeah,
So like, that's probably a good
that's a
example
good example,
of
right?
what maybe belongs in a capital plan before it's ready to fall down, right? You're like, hey, we really got to think about this building. We know it's going to cost this much money.
right.
We're going to put it out 3 or 4 years. And so we need to start thinking about that. Oh, okay, boy, that's getting close.
Let's
Maybe
start
we
chipping
need-
away now, instead of 30,000 a year
Right.
this year, so that
The
in
problem
3 years,
was
$100,000.
When they
saved
came
up,
in
you
with that $1 billion plan, and everybody went,
Yeah.
So kind of the first step that we talked about, I don't know who I talked with somebody about, like, decide what dollar amount you want to track. And anything that the town owns that's worth more than $50,000, have a line for that and know how much is that, what's it gonna cost to repair and for you to get that
actually a
built.
much larger number, and it's everything that should last long, it should last longer than 5 years.
So it's just, but it's that idea, same thing when you have a house, right? I always say, like, your roof, you know how old your roof is, hopefully, like, oh, within the next 10 years, you gotta think about that roof at some point, because they're gonna get hit with a $40,000 roofing bill, oh, your roof, right, Laura?
Yeah,
You need to get Slate, it's the only 100-year roof out.
planning commission is critical because that's where the major cost.
Planning Commission was very interested in us developing that. And that was just kind of a push that we've been meeting with the Planning Commission and like talking about like, all right, how do we move some things forward? And that's just something that they kept bringing up, is that they were looking for a more robust capital plan budget and.
So you want, like, going from like huge expense to huge expense to huge expense, we have like a vision and we're planning.
And they also wanted to start, I mean, they were very excited because they spent so much time and so much public input on this particular town plan as opposed to other town plans. They want to see
They want
more.
to do it. They want to do all of the town plan, which is great, but it costs money. We got to figure out how to lay it out.
And and you may never get to do everything, no matter what. Because it's just a limitation of the funding and where people are in the economy.
Did you have other updates, Peter?
Personal question. Paul, do you know about the Jolly Crosswalk, about when is there any ETA on that being fixed?
Yeah, so we just ordered a new pole.
Just one or two?
I believe it's just one that will work with the other
old
one.
Okay,
Yeah,
so we couldn't wrangle two out of it.
We were trying.
Yeah.
So we were trying, Linda is actually on that and she was trying to get two out of it. Yeah, yeah.
You know when what the ETA is?
Can check on that and get back to you.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, because that was the problem with the one up by the market is that, they didn't talk to each other, wasn't that?
Right.
Exactly. Yep.
Mhm.
Okay. And this is a question, do we ever hear back from Tyler about sort of the state of Raceway? And maybe you've already.
Yeah, I
said-
sent
oh,
you
maybe-
guys,
oh.
I sent you guys his information. I can send it to you.
Oh, no, you did. Yep, I got
Okay.
it. Yep. Thank you.
When did that come out?
I don't remember that either.
A couple weeks ago.
I can send it to you.
Sometimes I get more than one email a day, and so you,
Yeah, when you get hundreds a day. All kinds of.
Well, you know what I can do? I'll just
Yeah,
grab it.
right.
I'll grab it and I'll find it and I'll send it to.
Yeah, I can, I have it right
Yeah,
on my.
send it to everybody again, just because I've been trying to, I got. With the company and stuff, I got behind and then, oh my God, trying to look at 1,200 emails and how many am I cleaning? up?
Okay. Yep.
Laura, did you have any select board updates?
I do not.
Amy, do you have any select board updates?
I don't.
Okay. We are flying right along then, and moving on to approving the minutes of 7/10/25. I only caught one thing, but I'm guessing other people caught it.
I've got a couple. Okay. You want to just bang off all mine for starters?
Sure.
Yeah,
Well, and I wrote them all down and I forgot my paper copy, but line 14. It should be Sandra Limoges, not Sarah.
oh,
Say
good
that.
job.
A couple more of those. 128
Hold on, 120. Yep.
is again Sandra.
Yep.
139 is Sandra.
139.
159. Sounds nitpicky, but it matters in making meaning. On 159 should be it rains, comma. Water comes down.
Yep.
And then 244, I don't know how to correct it, but I know it's not right. Jericho Economic Development Corporation. I don't know what it's called, but it's not JEDC. I know it's JC. Is it Jericho Commercial
Community, Jericho
I
Community
need to write this down. 'Cause I'm in charge of it.
Development Corporation.
Jericho
Community
Community
Development Corporation.
Development Corporation.
Okay,
That's all I had.
all right. Did you have some?
That was the only thing I noticed.
Okay,
I noticed the name being wrong too. Just,
Catherine?
No, I didn't. I'm going to abstain because I wasn't there even though.
Okay,
Right.
perfect. Okay, yep. That sounds good.
Amy, Laura, any other minute corrections?
All right.
Do I have a motion?
Aaron has a hand up.
Oh, Aaron?
Aaron?
Aaron, do you?
Hey, I
have your
just,
hand up?
I had a question before you guys adjourn, so,
Oh.
well, I can still talk to you, if you're ready, whenever you're ready.
Sure.
I'll make a motion to pass the minutes as amended. To approve the minutes as amended.
Well, she wants to talk first.
No,
No,
she's
she
going to talk. You want to talk?
Okay,
Okay, good, okay.
Yeah. I second.
All those in favor of approving the minutes as amended, say aye. Aye.
I will abstain.
4 ayes, 1 abstain. We're gonna start tracking that stuff.
No, right.
Okay, Aaron, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering about, I had two questions. One, if Donna could hear okay through the whole meeting, if she was using the transcription device. And then the other question I had is the orange thing on the window behind Peter, is that the speaker for me right now? How you hear me?
Oh, no, that's just a time clock.
Oh, okay. Where is the speaker for me?
We don't know. It just comes out of the.
No, there's one right here. There's some, the speakers are over there up on the wall behind.
Oh, okay. Okay, all right. That was it. Those my questions. Do you have any questions for me?
How is the audio? So
Yes.
before people got here, I was talking
Yeah.
to Aaron about some of the audio things that we've been hearing. How did it go when you were hearing from people in the audience and then from us?
So overall, some of the dips that we've heard in the past were pretty extreme. Tonight, I did hear a couple of dips, but it wasn't as bad as before. So this layout is a little better. Yeah, I'm wondering about some improvements still, but
Are you using the smart microphone right now? Are we using the smart microphone?
I think we're using
Yep.
that.
Yep, and that's
That's
what's right
smart
over your
microphone?
head, Peter.
But it is the smart one that like filters out sound?
So you're using 3 microphones right now. There's the smart one right over your head. There's another ceiling mic that's over where you used to sit. And then
Yep.
there's another mic on the table by the guests.
Oh, that's that little,
Huh?
Black block.
Yeah.
When I talked to Angeliki about the sound, she said that she thought the smart microphone might be the problem. And she had said that she might turn that off for a meeting and see how that works, but maybe that's not possible.
Aaron, I don't know about you, but like the one issue I had tonight was when Catherine Bass and the other woman from the library committee was speaking. That was a little difficult for me to hear because there was an echo over there, and I wonder if that's related.
Yeah, I noticed that echo too, and I was trying to make adjustments to make it better. And I think I made it slightly better, but overall I thought we could still hear them pretty clearly. But Amy, would you say that you were missing part of what they were saying?
I would just say I had to concentrate more heavily to understand what they were saying.
Yeah.
That's weird, because that's usually the best microphone in the room.
Yeah, usually that's the
That's
good
the
one,
one that
but it might
works.
be because that one's so close, maybe.
it could be.
Although it's
Probably farther away. It would have been, right? Yeah. Weird.
So thank you for this. One of the things I note that is when you guys have a full room of people, the audio is like, it's a great learning curve. But when there's like one person in there testing, it's really hard to figure these things out. So thank you.
Good.
Yeah. All right, thanks a lot. Have a good night.
You too.
And with that, I need a motion to go into an executive session.
Are you gonna do that?
Yes, I am. I would like to make a motion to go to executive session for the purpose of.
It's actually 2, personnel and legal.
For personnel and legal, because premature disclosure of the information will be detrimental for the parties involved. And I'd like to invite Paula Carrier.
I'll second that.
All those in favor of going into executive session, say aye.
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 Thank you, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you, Jessica.